Hello, audience. Welcome back to Creative Differences, a very special podcast for very special people. That's you. You're special. We love you. I'm Dallas, and I like superheroes.
I'm Gabby, and I didn't know that we were going to
You
do
don't
this
have
again.
to. I just do it. You don't have to.
I'm Demi. I'm not going to do this.
Thank you,
Colin.
Demi.
Or whoever's next.
You
I don't know who you
Now
are
we have
today.
to start over.
Ruined it.
I don't know who you are today.
Soiled
who are
it.
you?
Soiled it. Anyway, I am almost too gay to function.
Sounds about right. Today, guys, we are talking about our top
Look at
10
my
favorite
names.
characters of 2019. And yesterday, we talked about our top 10 favorite movies of 2019. If you guys haven't checked that out, you guys should. All right, guys, here's the rules of the game. We are going to go through our top 10 favorite characters in order. And if someone has the same character as somebody else and it's higher up on their list, they're going to call skip, and we're going to wait until we get to that person as it gets higher on the list and talk about it then. So let's get this started. Honorary mentions. Let's go, Dallas.
All right. Honorary mentions. Richie Tozier from It. Ruby Jamal and Monse from On My Block. And Robot Man from Doom Patrol.
Colin doesn't do honorary mentions, so Gabby.
I only have one, and it's The Mandalorian from The Mandalorian.
Dope. My honorable mentions list is Rey from Star Wars, Allison Hargreave from Umbrella Academy, Kate from Last Christmas, Peter Parker from Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, and Princess Jasmine from the live-action Aladdin. So,
Well, all right.
Woo.
number 10.
Number
Dallas.
10
Get it started.
is Abra Stone from Dr. Sleep, a.k.a. hashtag Black Girl Magic.
Hey.
She's played by Kylie Curran, who was amazing. And she's honestly the reason that this movie is so much fun. Abra is a very powerful psychic kid. And
She has to shine.
yeah, she shine bright.
Like a diamond.
There you go.
I just want to know if she was named after the Pokemon or if it's completely coincidental. Because you say
Abra-
Well, the
pair.
Pokemon is
Abra-
named after the magic word.
Yeah,
She's named after the magic word.
I guess.
Oh, so they're
but then you
both
say
named
powerful
after.
psychic, and I'm like, well,
She's named after the magic word. That's so sweet.
Yeah, she's really into magic, which her parents
when
couldn't
she
have known
grows
when
up,
they...
does she take on Kadabra? Does she become Alakazam? These are the questions that I have.
No, I doubt it.
I'm
We'll get-
side-eyeing
you
you
know.
so
Dallas,
hard
continue.
right
when
now.
Dr. Sleep 2 comes out. But yeah, I was going to say that a lot of the fear factor of horror movies is how scared are the characters when these things are happening to them. And Abra, after a certain point, realizes like, oh, I'm stronger than you. I don't need to be scared. And that's when the movie becomes an adventure movie, not a horror movie. Because she's like, okay, yeah, I got this.
Let's
And
do
then-
this.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, snap, she's great. She's like 10 years old, and she's
Terrifying.
an Omega level mutant.
Omega level.
That's our
I should have
favorite
said
I
that.
love it.
ongoing reference. Whenever anybody has superpowers,
It's
just
like she's
Omega
an
level
level
mutant.
mutant.
And she's
It's
the best
a really
character.
good way to quantify it.
It is,
that's why.
definitely. And she's the best character in a movie full of great characters,
Dope.
which also just makes her fantastic. But yeah, that's my number 10. Moving on
Colin, number 10.
to two gated function.
Cool. My number 10 is Miss Crumble from Daybreak. And now I get to be sad because that show got canceled and I'm never going to get to see it again.
Ooh.
But
I know that feeling. I've got a couple of those on here.
yeah, it's just rough. Like, oh, man, I like this show so much. But like, Daybreak is fun and stupid, and I can't make the reference I want to make because none of you around this table would get it. But like,
Somebody out there might.
I doubt it. Anyway,
It's
nobody,
not like to be
That's why I
fair.
got canceled.
nobody played that game. But like, it's fun and it's stupid, and there were moments watching it where I'm like, this is too stupid. I don't know if I can deal with this. But it does have heart, and Miss Crumble is a big part of that because like, as somebody who wasn't living a very exciting life before the zombie apocalypse happened, being turned into a zombie made it that much more difficult for her to function. And like, she's great because like, at first she tries to like do what I think a lot of people would do if you were a sentient zombie, is like try to get back to her old life. So there's a whole scene where like they give her a makeover and they try to make her look like she did when she was still alive, because when she's zombified she looks kind of gross because she's a zombie and she wasn't taking care of herself, because why would she?
Exactly.
But then she realizes like, no, this isn't working. I can't get back to how I was, and honestly I don't want to be who I was because I wasn't particularly happy like that. And
What a
it's
story.
great. Yeah, like
What an arc. I like that.
it's great. She has like the best line in the entire series, I have to say now, where like she gets her makeover and then they give this other girl who she's been hanging out with a makeover, and then Miss Crumble is the one, she goes to the girl and she like wipes the makeup off, and this is stupid, and it's like, this world, it kind of sucks, and you know, this world is monstrous, let's be monsters.
Ooh.
and it's great, and I love her, and her entire story is just like her kind of trying to embrace herself and like figure out who she is now and who she wants to be, while also trying to overcome the urge to eat people. And the ways that she finds to go around that is really creative. Like, she does some stuff with maggots. It's really cool. Like, if maggots eat decaying flesh and then I eat the maggots, that works. And I don't actually have to eat people. Like,
That's fair. It's kind of like eating like a grass-fed cow.
yeah, it's cool the way she deals with her new situation, and she's great. And I really like the show. And now I'm sad again.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I feel that.
yeah.
Gabby, number 10.
My number 10 is Baby Yoda.
No.
He's
Oh,
so
Baby
cute.
Yoda.
Right?
Oh,
Exactly. That's all you need to know. The
is
only
the
reason he's
cutest
not
thing
up
ever.
higher is because there's not really much to him. He's just adorable.
He's a baby. He's literally just a baby.
Exactly. He's just a baby.
He's a 50-year-old baby.
Yep, exactly. And I haven't finished The Mandalorian yet because I want to savor it.
I have one more episode left, and I think I'm waiting for my little brother to get home because it feels weird to watch him without him.
Yeah, I have 2 episodes left. I haven't seen. I got a spoiler, and I was like, "This is why you watch things right away, Gabby."
I got a spoiler too, but like that made me even more excited to watch it.
I don't think I got the same spoiler as you.
Good.
And he's so freaking cute. I like that they used a real puppet
He's like the
when they
little-
could.
Yeah,
I
know somebody
appreciate that.
I know somebody who was on an episode. They cut the scene that she was in, but I know somebody who was on an episode, and she was like, "Baby Yoda is like the most sacred thing on set. You don't touch him without permission. There's always 5 people around him at all times because there are 5 people running the puppet." And like there was a hug in the episode that she was in where they had to hug the puppet, and like it was a very choreographed, very like detailed, like, you're gonna hug it, okay, we have to be very careful about how this works.
Yeah, it's probably a really expensive puppet too. So
I mean, I
get
bet it is. Baby Yoda is like the cutest thing to ever exist in Star Wars ever.
For just might be the cutest thing on TV.
People
ever.
who don't watch The Mandalorian know who Baby
Yeah,
Yoda is.
no, I
and
know
they
because
know
my
it's the
coworkers
cutest
are
thing
like,
ever.
"Oh my god, Baby Yoda," and I'm like, "Right." I think the baby Yoda is what made The Mandalorian so popular, and it's just so cute.
Yeah, I feel like
I
if Baby
love
Yoda
it.
wasn't there, I wouldn't have nearly as much interest.
No, I probably wouldn't.
He's the cutest. Also, they brought in a loth cat on the show, and he interacts with the loth cat, and it's the cutest thing ever.
I
Oh
don't
my
know what
gosh.
that is, but I can't
It's
wait
the
to look
cat
at
thing
it.
that nearly attacks him when they in episode 4. Oh my gosh, it's the cutest thing ever. I love it so
cute.
much.
Love Baby Yoda, and that's why he's my number 10.
You guys are gonna find out a lot about my character type because I do have a character type.
You say we're gonna find out like we didn't
Like, we
already
already
know.
know.
Talking to you guys.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
I was gonna say like.
I'm never talking to you guys when I
She's
make that
talking
statement.
to the audience. All 22 of you. Thanks, guys.
God. I have a character type. You guys are going to find out a lot about that. Cool. So my number 10 is Christine C.G. Gavin, portrayed by Catherine Winnick from Wu Assassins.
Oh yeah.
Literally, I actually had to put her back on the list because I thought about it and I was like, no, she has to be on the list. Because if you asked me, before the show came out, if you asked me to describe a character that I would love to see Catherine Winnick play, outside of me just saying Black Canary, like if I was to describe the character, this is the character. Somebody texted me before I'd even started watching the show because they saw the first episode and they were like, Demi, I swear, like if I didn't know that you had no involvement in this character, I would have swear you wrote it. This character is entirely your aesthetic. Everything she wears, her attitude, her personality. She's a badass cop. She does martial arts, which is awesome because Catherine Winnick gets to do her own stunts because she is a master martial artist and she owns like 3 martial arts schools or something like that and has since like the age of 17 or something like that. But like she's a detective with a heart of gold and she's really snarky, but she's also a bit of a loner, kind of trying to find her place in the world. And I kind of love that, like, I can't think of many examples of this, but I know that I've seen it where it's like the detective or the cop who gets involved in some sort of supernatural world and they just like they kind of just have to go with it. Like it's like, all right, cool. But I love the trope for her because she gets involved before almost everybody else in the show does, except for the protagonist and his dad. And like she's just like, okay, that's what's happening. All right, then let's go. This is the world we're living in. This is a real thing. You're not playing with me? All right, cool. I'm with it. Let's do it. Let's go. Because she just really trusts and believes this guy. And, like, I love it. It's so great. And I'm a huge fan of Catherine Winnick. So, like, to see her play this character that literally looks like you went into my brain and just pulled it out. That's why it had to be on my list. Because literally it's, like, the most ideal character for me. And I hope that we get a season 2 of Wu Assassins because before the show came out, I saw pictures of her and Louis Tan together, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I was like, I don't even care if their characters get together on the show. I'm gonna ship it anyway because I love these two actors. And then the show did it, and I was like, yes.
Spoilers. I'm just kidding.
Nah, bro. Like it's pretty obvious once you see the first episode that those are the two that they're aiming for. But yeah, at number 10, Christine C.G. Gavin. Number 9, Dallas.
Number 9 for me is Detective Pikachu. Because
Wonderful. It's Ryan Reynolds.
that movie was on my list for a while, off the strength of one character. And if you're gonna have a movie on my favorite movies list,
you need
because
more
I
than
love
just
you
one
that
character.
much, like you got to be on the favorite characters list. Like you are that movie for me. It's just, yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds and a little adorable Pikachu's body. It's so cute. Oh my God, he's adorable. He says all the things that Ryan Reynolds would say in a kids movie.
But that's Pikachu.
Yeah, it's like you just look at him and it's like, oh my God, he's so cute, and he's trying to run away from a Charizard that's
It's
gonna kill
Baby Yoda all over again. Which people have made parallels between those two characters.
Really?
Visual parallels, yes.
him. Yeah, they're both small and adorable. I get it.
I love the meme of Pikachu like lying down with his little
He's
hand
holding his
out.
hand out and Yoda's doing the same thing. It's the cutest.
But yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds and it's a Pikachu, so that's all that really needs to be said. That's why it's on the list.
Colin, number 9.
Cool. So, gonna have to figure something out with Dallas because, like, I have a couple twofers on here that might cross over with his, so I don't know how this is gonna work.
They're
Probably-
gonna get skipped.
Probably the same.
Do you skip both if
Well,
both of them aren't on your list?
I think
how
it
do
would be
we-
like the way we did with the favorite movies thing, where Gabby had one of my twofer
So
on
Yeah,
her
really
just
list.
talk about the one I don't skip.
Okay, cool.
Question.
Yo,
Never mind. We'll figure it out. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be an issue with this one necessarily, but
Got you.
my number 9 is Rita and Larry from Doom Patrol.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man,
I just remembered who Rita is.
how did you? That's upsetting to me on a very personal level. Like oh man, the show is so weird.
It's the
And
weirdest.
it's so good.
I only watched it
Weird.
because you guys. Well, I was gonna watch it, but you guys made me like kind of watch it sooner. And God, that show's so weird.
So it's so weird, and like the characters are just interesting.
They're
all
disasters.
So really right, but it's not. That's an easy way to say it, but it feels more complicated than that.
It is. They're complicated disasters.
Yeah, and it's just like Rita, I like because she starts out kind of terrible. Like
Oh yeah.
the first thing she
100%.
does is just like, oh, you're being ableist and maybe racist. I'm honestly not sure. That might have been part of it. Like
I was going to say, wasn't she a racist? But she was definitely ableist.
maybe, yeah,
Hardcore.
You suck.
She's
but,
gonna
like,
character that if she was racist, they'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
The
but
time period that she was, living in, all
yeah.
that,
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
But like she grows throughout the show, and like she's one of those characters who like she doesn't like the people around her at first, but slowly she gets attached to them whether she wants to or not.
We're a family, so I got to stick by you.
Right, but it's like she's never that open about it. It's just like
Absolutely
she's
not.
grudging, but it's obvious that the feelings are there, and that's great.
Then Larry.
Oh boy, I
I have so many
I
complex
don't
feelings.
right
about
like I
Larry.
don't know how to feel about.
I
Larry.
love him, but I'm also like,
I-
you're such an idiot.
I love him, but like I can't justify the way he lives his life. To
him
a certain
cheating on
extent.
his wife to be with his
Yes,
gay lover.
exactly. I can't. You don't like. I get why you did what you did, but
Once
you
again,
didn't have
cool
to
motive,
cheat. You didn't
still
have
murder.
to. Exactly. You could have just not cheated, and then it would have been better. But oh, he's just
You could have had your secret affair while not actually being married.
yes, you could have. But like he's so
Yeah, affairs are still bad.
well. It's not.
Oh,
isn't
they
it?
are?
It's not
Sorry.
an affair. I
I
guess.
thought you meant an affair while he's with the.
No.
Is
no.
it,
It's
isn't
a-
it fair if you're not in a relationship?
I believe it's still considered a secret affair
Huh.
in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a confusing. term.
Yeah. But he's so like, excuse the pun, but he's so like wrapped up in his own head, and like in his that's a justified shame at like who he is and what he's done. That like his story is him learning to move on from that and sort of embrace who he is, and like he almost does that in like one of my favorite episodes, probably my favorite episode of the season, where he has like a whole song and dance number, and it's so like cathartic for the character.
Yes.
I love that
Also,
episode in general. I love.
Matt Bomer's just a fantastic singer.
Oh yeah,
Once
he's
again, just finding
great.
things for people to sing because they're fantastic singers,
Honestly,
and you should
yeah,
all the time.
like just like I just love how like Larry was sad but not depressing, I guess. Because sometimes some of the other characters like it was hard for me to like Cliff because sometimes he's just depressing, and like he's one of those characters. I don't really like characters who they're really sad and they cover it over with humor. And I feel like Larry was kind of not that, where he was willing to say, yeah, my life kind of sucks, in a way that I feel like Cliff wasn't. But we can talk about that later. But
I love Cliff so much.
oh man, this show is so great, and I like the characters so much, and it's just so. If you're gonna give me superhero stuff, I want more stuff like this.
It's
Weird
funny.
stuff.
I never liked Larry as much as I did when we first see him, which is in Titans,
Yes.
in the backdoor
See, I
pilot
never
for
saw
Doom
that.
Patrol, because we get introduced to him, and he's so much fun. Like the first thing we see is him cooking the meal for this huge family,
Huge family.
one of which is a woman who eats more than humans should have to eat. But he's just cooking everything, and he's listening to Thunderstruck, and he's just dancing, and like, he's not that at all in Doom
No,
Patrol.
he's not on Doom
Because once
Patrol.
we get into Doom Patrol, it's like, oh yeah, we have to actually
I'm like, is this?
go deeper into the character and talk about
And
why
he's
his life is
sad.
terrible. And it's like, oh, this is sad. I miss Happy Larry. Like, I want him to dance and cook and make little.
So before we move on
quips.
to the next one, love affair is a romantic or sexual relationship between two people, but especially one that is outside the marriage. So it's literally
Oh,
any
okay.
type of relationship,
Got it.
but we usually use it when talking about extramarital affairs.
Well, all right.
Cool.
Good to know.
Thanks, internet.
Gabby, number 9.
My number 9 is Beau LeBlanc from Knives Out, played by Daniel Craig.
Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc.
Oh, Benoit Blanc. Sorry.
Benoit
Whoops.
He's great.
He is. He's fantastic.
He's hilarious.
That accent.
I
Colin hates
like
that accent,
The
but-
character, I hate the accent.
I love the accent.
I love it.
It's so stupid. It's beautiful.
It is so stupid. But Benoit
And
Blanc
he's not,
is great.
he's not the first fictional character to have this accent. So, like,
No,
Yeah,
'cause
but Foghorn Leghorn
Yeah.
is easier to digest because it's also a giant chicken in the Looney Tunes universe, and I'm just kind of gonna roll with it.
You know what I
But
like
I
about
gotta
this
say-
is just like it adds to the comedy, and also like when he's talking about the donuts in the donut hole.
Oh,
yeah,
He's
the
the
donut hole.
That's the only reason he's
The
on this
donut
list.
and the
The
donut
donut
hole.
And also, I like the idea of what's now being fished out that there could be more like murder mysteries with Benoit Blanc, and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, because Ryan was like, I don't know. I know that he had no intentions of making sequels after this one, but he was like, if I can, though, that would be great.
yeah, with Benoit, man,
And
do it.
I'm down with that. I would miss
So he's
these
just
other
gonna make
characters.
like
Yes.
his own version of Hercule Poirot, because
Yeah.
Yes,
all right,
and like that's why I like Benoit Blanc, is because that's what he is. He's like a larger than life private investigator type that like fits this story and fits this series. So I just thought he was hilarious and amazing.
Also, the thing about the accent is that Foghorn Leghorn was inspired by somebody. Like, that accent, somewhere it exists. Like, I have to know it exists somewhere.
You just want to go to the
So it's
city
like,
that it
yes,
came from.
It is ridiculous, but
Somebody
oh my
talks
God,
like that.
somebody somewhere sounds like that.
Oh, yeah,
And I really need to
definitely.
meet that person.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Or at least they used to, and it has now evolved into something completely different. All right.
To me, it's on you.
My number 9 is Malcolm Bright from Prodigal Son, portrayed by Tom Paine. I love Malcolm Bright from the moment he appears on screen. He's like the atypical male hero. He's so socially awkward. He's really good at reading people, which is why he's like a criminal profiler, but also really bad at reading people.
Which is why he's awkward and single. No,
I mean, no, he is single again. Yeah, but that's why I say he's horrible with people, because he went on a date with this girl and she was like, "Oh, read me for fun," and he read too far and didn't get the hint that he needed to stop.
The
Like-
scenes are always really uncomfortable.
Yeah, but
They're kinda
like,
funny.
it's like, yeah, no, it wasn't funny. It was just uncomfortable.
it was just
Because he was like, "Oh yeah, you have this bracelet or this tattoo because you had a friend and you lost that friend. You were out here because you're trying to find." Like,
Ooh.
it got dark, and I was like, "Bro, you gotta stop. She's getting emotional, and you're not reading it."
huh?
Exactly. But like,
Read the room.
read the room. He also walks a fine line between sanity and insanity, which is what I love. His father is a serial killer,
Right.
and his father has always said, "You're just like me."
Ooh.
And the thing
Yep.
about Malcolm is that he walks this fine line between like, I'm like, "You're not a serial killer right now, but I could see something snapping in you to make you
man.
become a serial killer." As the show goes on, we're kind of starting to see less of that in him and more of that in his younger sister, because Ainsley's getting a little crazy.
Oh boy.
But also, he's also a reckless dumbass. He just is impetuous and jumps into situations that he shouldn't be. And I love it because it's just like, you're not a natural cop. You work for the police. And literally, it's like almost every episode, Lou Diamond Phillips' character is telling him, yo,
Like,
call
stay in
for
your lane.
backup.
Stay in your lane.
He's consistently like, call for backup. Stop going places without telling us you're going somewhere. Call for backup. And he just doesn't. But I also appreciate that the show is it's an interesting look at mental health because he clearly, like, it's very clear on the show. They talk about it a lot. He goes to therapy. He has post-traumatic stress disorder because of what his father did.
Right.
But also like this idea of growing up, like as a kid, you love your dad. Your dad's the greatest person in the world, but you find out that your dad's a serial killer and you turn him in. Like,
It's rough.
how do you, like, you still love that person.
Yeah.
But how do you continue life like that? And I really love the family dynamics between him and his father, because his father is clearly manipulative and trying to pull him back in.
Right.
Him and his mother, because his mother is a raging alcoholic.
Ooh.
But she's a socialite and she's trying to keep things. She's always been trying to keep things together, but because she's tried to keep things together, it almost feels like she's been very negligent to her children.
Right.
And then his sister, who has always been kind of hidden away from this issue and is now old enough to try and push herself into it and try and understand it more, but maybe isn't necessarily doing it in the right way. And he's trying to protect her as well, even though he's doing the same stuff that she wants to do. So it's always really interesting with Malcolm. I love that show and I love him. So that's my number 9, Malcolm Bright.
Nice.
Number 8, Dallas.
Number 8. My number 8 is Tony Stark / Iron Man,
Hey,
portrayed by Robert Downey Jr.
Rest in peace.
Tony Stark, not
Yeah,
Robert Downey
Jr.'s
Jr.
alive.
Yeah, that was a lot.
But yes, RIP to the GOAT, Tony Stark. So Iron Man was my favorite Avenger from the formation of the MCU up until
from 2008 to
up until Civil War
2016.
when they brought in Black Panther and Spider-Man, and I was like, okay, bye Tony. But
I feel like the same thing happened to my little brother.
yeah, it makes sense. But I think with this year being what it was, Endgame being what it was just not only the culmination of, you know, this series we've been watching,
But of Tony Stark's story.
but Tony, yes. Even though he does things in the movie that bother me, that I don't agree with, he's Tony, and this is the culmination
end.
of all the Tony that I've been getting since 2008, and it's just,
Yep.
oh my God, I am Iron Man, finger snap. I was like, Tony.
And that was like a last minute addition, like
That he came up with.
Yeah, but he also didn't want to do. He was like, nah, that's too on the nose. And they were like, shut up.
No, we love it. we
Shut up, we're
love
gonna do
it.
You're not going to not do that. But also, and this is more Robert Downey Jr. than the character for me, but there's one moment that the first time I was watching it, like, almost made me shed a thug tear. And that was when he first sees Steve and he says, I lost a kid. Because Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, when he, like, you see his face and, like, the thing he really wanted to do was protect Peter. Like, since he brought him in Civil War, he was like, I have to protect this kid. If something happens to him, that's on me. Like when he yells at him in Homecoming.
Yep, that's
if
on
anything
and he
happens to you,
says
I feel like that's on me.
me.
And when he just sees Steve, and the first thing he says, considering the last time they saw each other, all the stuff that was going on,
With Civil War.
yeah, he overlooks all of that. He doesn't say, like, you know,
Fuck
have you been? I hate
like-
you.
No,
Your
he
friend
waits
killed my
for
mom.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, your
like
friend killed my mom.
all of that can wait. The first thing is I lost a kid, and it's just like, Tony, don't
Well,
do this to me.
I love it because as you watch these movies, you start to realize that it's not specifically stated, but Tony Stark, when things happen to his friends, he adds things to their suits to make sure that it never happens again.
It's true. Yeah.
Like
he does?
he's added to Rhodey's suit before. He adds to Peter's suit to make sure Peter never gets hurt. Like, he's consistently adding things onto people's suits to make sure they never ever get injured in the same way that they got injured the last time.
Oh.
And like with the way he lost him, like he couldn't. There's nothing
There's
you
nothing
can
he
do
can do.
to protect him from that. Like,
I
that
don't want
hit
to
me.
go.
They hit me in the heart.
No, wait. I got it.
What you got? What you got? What you got?
What you do, right, is you make him a new suit and you install a vacuum cleaner.
I hate you.
But then Peter
no,
would have came
because
back
the suit
in a
was
vacuum
gone.
cleaner.
I think that yeah. As long as he comes back, I
In
see
the
a
vacuum
vacuum cleaner swinging from webs. I'm with it. As long as Tom Holland's in the vacuum cleaner, I'm fine with that. But yeah, that's my number 8.
Tom Holland.
Colin, number 8.
All right. Let's have a conversation, Gabby.
Oh gosh. Here we
So
go.
my number 8 is a twofer because it has to be. It's Jonesy and Riley from Letterkenny.
Yes, Jonesy and Riley. I have somebody from Letterkenny on my list too.
Good. They're God, they're
best.
my favorites. They're such
Also-
idiots.
I love how in this season they kind of made a joke that made it seem like Jonesy and Riley had sex with each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I ship it.
Yeah, that relationship is
wild,
you know.
and I love it so much.
There's
And
just-
also the beginning of this season with Jonesy and Riley like doing all those interviews.
Yeah.
Like that was from, so they used to have a YouTube channel and they used to do like fake hockey interviews on the
really?
YouTube channel. Yeah, so that was kind of a callback to that, and I'm glad to finally see it. I'm like super proud. I really liked it. But yeah, Jonesy and Riley.
They're just like, they're so stupid, but everything they do is well intentioned.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
And they love each other so much.
They do.
Like that episode where like, was it Jonesy was alone, right? Because
Yeah.
Riley was dating Katie Cat.
Yeah.
Okay. And also they call Katie Cat. Like it's so cute. Anyway, so like freaking when Jonesy's stuck between the skids and then the evangelicals, and then like
Yeah.
Riley comes in and saves him. It's just like so much love.
And like they also just, the way that they talk to each other,
Yeah, Ferda.
like every group in the show has their own cadence and the way they talk to each other, and theirs is like, it's like watching a tennis match between two planks of wood. Like they're
Yeah.
stupid, but they go back and forth and it's great.
like you're like, yeah, buddy. Like
Yeah.
Skypes and Skellies.
Oh,
or
God.
Snipes and Skellies. Ferda, man, Ferda boys.
Also, I just appreciated so much that there was an episode in this season where they were shirtless for almost all of it.
Yes, I loved it so much too.
That
and
was good.
They were also wearing like leggings.
I think so.
Oh,
Well,
it
they were
was-
compression
Yeah,
pants, Gabby.
no, they were freaking Lululemon leggings. Or they weren't
Excuse you. They
Lululemon.
made that point in the episode, and they were clear to point out that they were nothing like Lululemons because they're compression pants.
No, I know,
They're
but
for
like
athletes,
the pants
Gabby.
that they put on were actually just yoga pants. Like I was looking at those pants and I was like, no, those are yoga pants. Like they made these dudes really were like, fuck it, let's do it, yoga pants all day, every day. And then all the leg day jokes, how they were like, oh, I don't really like leg day. And also then all the characters from Extension that come from like the hockey stuff that come
Mhm.
from Jonesy and Riley, like the coach and like the really intense hockey players. So like
Yeah.
Fisky, Boomtown, like the... These guys are great too. I love Letterkenny so much.
It's delightful.
Also, I'm so glad I caught your To Be Fair.
Yeah,
Or
I appreciate
last
you.
episode. I was like, To Be Fair.
Anyway, that's my number 8.
Oh,
Gabby,
they're
number
great.
8.
My number 8 is Keanu Reeves, played by Keanu Reeves, and always be my maybe.
That's a good choice. That's a good one.
It tops Anna Faris as Anna Faris and Keanu. It's just, it's so good. He was just so ridiculous. It just shows what a great sense of humor Keanu Reeves has, and how like he finds himself funny, and he knows that like Keanu Reeves, other than himself, is like also a character in the world that people like.
Keanu
to
Reeves is a
participate.
myth.
Yeah, and a legend.
Definitely.
And I like the purpose he served in the movie, and it was also just a delightful surprise because I watched the movie. I saw some trailers, and I saw the movie before the scene got out and everybody was watching it. So him showing up was
I think I
like,
did too.
I was like, what? He's here? What? And then it was just amazing, and I was like, it was one of my favorite ridiculous things that a celebrity's done in good humor, like ever. Also, I like that they picked him because he's like a famous Asian like action star, and he
Yes.
also was like, "Thank you for remembering that I'm Asian."
Yeah.
Like,
Because most people don't.
yeah, people forget, and I think it's important to remember. Representation matters. Yeah, so I really like that character. He was my favorite. He was super delightful. I would watch that scene like over and over again just because of how
That
silly
sequence.
it was, and just like his entrance too was hilarious.
The slow motion.
Like, yes. Oh, and to the song, it was perfect. So yeah.
Cool. So my number 8 is Deet from The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, puppeteered by Becky Henderson, voiced by Natalie Emmanuel. This is probably the most precious character on my list. Oh my gosh, the cutest, kind of like Baby Yoda, the cutest, but with a character, has personality.
Yeah.
She's incredibly sweet, and she is so friendly, and she's so genuine, and she's curious about the world because her species is from underground. They live underground.
Aww.
And so she's got this adorable naivete about her because she doesn't understand the world. Also, she has 2 gay dads, and it's awesome. There's no, like, nothing big made of it. She just has 2 gay dads, and it's awesome. But she has, like, this interesting storyline because she is given a vision of a horrific future for her people. And because she's the one given the vision, she's the one who's chosen to go save them. And she never questions why she's chosen. She never questions or doubts that she has to be the one to do it. No, she goes, okay, I'm doing this. I'm leaving my home underground and I'm going above ground, and I'm going to try and finish whatever's going on. I'm going to try and end this. But she gets sent on this adventure, and I just love the moment that she gets above ground because, like I said, she lives underground her whole life. Because the sun is too intense for her eyes, she wears a bandage around her eyes, but that she can kind of see through so that she can, navigate through the world. But like, she's so fascinated by everything above ground, even though she's on this very dangerous quest. Like, she's still really interested, and she's still genuinely just like, oh my gosh, what's that? What's that? What's that? And it's the cutest thing ever. And just, ugh. And people, like, because she lives underground, like, people are kind of racist towards her and say some like racist stuff. And it's just like, no, Bean, no, don't talk Bean about her. She's just a good person. I love it so much. But also, there came a point during the show where I was like, all the main characters have had to sacrifice something. And like, so they've gone through something horrible, and like Deet never does until you get to the end of the season. And immediately I was like, I take it back. I don't want her to go through this. Don't make her do this. So I hope we get a season 2, because I really, really want to see where that storyline goes. But also, one of the things I also really like is the puppeteer, Becky Henderson, because Deet is from underground. The way she moves the character around is really interesting, because she wouldn't have used her eyes as much because it's really dark out. Her head movement is based heavily on her ears, because she'll hear something before she'll see it.
Oh, that's dope.
Oh,
That's cool.
Yeah, so the puppeteer really...
That's so smart.
Yeah, I know, and I love it so much. Like, it's such a good... And I didn't notice that when I first watched the show, so now I gotta rewatch it. Like, it was, like, my favorite show of the year. It's probably the best show of this year, so,
But
like...
that's also how blind people work.
Yeah, and I love that so much. It's such an interesting detail to add to that character, because I feel like most people wouldn't even think of that.
Exactly.
But yeah, Deet is my number 8. I just got her little Pop Funko for Christmas. I love it so much.
Adorable.
Number 7, Dallas.
Number 7 is Steve Rogers / Captain America,
Oh, really? Wow, nice.
portrayed excellently by Chris Evans.
Yes, I agree.
Always.
So,
I'll bet you do.
of course
I'm
she does.
gonna keep the thirst at a none today.
Are you?
We don't believe you.
I haven't thirsted at all yet.
That we know of. Dallas.
So, well, yeah, of course, I watched Endgame, and after it finished, I was like, wait, who's my favorite character in this movie?
I remember you saying that Steve Rogers has never been your favorite character ever until Endgame.
Yeah, this is the first time in the MCU that he's been my favorite character. And
How? What? Why?
Because there are better characters.
No. I was like, how was he your favorite character this time around? Is my I'm surprised.
gotcha. So Black Panther and Spider-Man
Are
are in the
barely in
movie,
this
but
movie.
barely. And then
They don't count.
Yeah.
They got cameo appearances.
And Tony, I love him as always, but he did all those things that I was like, Tony, don't do that. But Steve is just
Steve.
being peak Captain America, and once he lifts that hammer and starts whooping Thanos with it, it's like, yo.
But also that
Yes.
moment where he's the lone man against a
Yes,
whole army.
it's so Cap. And one of
I
my
can-
favorite scenes in this movie is when he has to fight himself.
Yeah.
Because
America's
that scene
ass. Yep.
is badass, but also it's hilarious because of lines like that. And when I can do this all day.
He's like,
I know.
I know. He's just so tired and he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. But also that quintessential line when he pulls the strap on his shield. I can do this all day.
Yeah, like it's the most, like, I see all the people who love Captain America so much, I see what they see
Ah.
in this movie because they give it to you in such a way that is,
I mean, the Russos are Cap fanboys. Let's be honest here.
yeah, of course. That's why
No, they're Cap fanboys.
All right.
Definitely.
I just well, they completely changed Cap in the second movie because they were like, yeah, we used to always read his comments and think he was kind of boring. So
They
I'm like,
did,
does that
but they-
mean he's they're fanboys?
They're fanboys of the version that they have created.
Okay.
And I agree, he was kind of boring to me. And then
I've learned to really like that movie.
the first one?
Yeah, and it's mostly because my housemate, she's just like, I just like how classic and la 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 it is. And I was like, watching it, and I was like, this movie knows what it is, and I appreciate it. So I
mean,
actually really
it's
like
still
that
the
movie
same
now.
writers though. So
Yeah. I just feel like the character, and a lot of MCU characters, to be honest, I feel like when they were introduced, they were fine, and then over time they got better.
they've gotten
for me.
better.
Yeah. Like, I
Except for
think,
Tony.
Supposed to-
Tony has always been great.
Yeah.
True.
I think what happened is like kind of the reverse is what normally happens with TV is where like you like a character and then it becomes kind of like an archetype. It becomes only kind of one thing. Whereas with the MCU, they take a character and you're like, you're fine, but then they expand on it and they grow and that character becomes less one thing and more like
Yeah.
a whole person.
I think it just helps that Marvel got better at making movies, just in general.
I agree to an extent. Because I still think Iron Man is one of their best.
No. I agree with
That's
that.
where I
Iron Man is
started.
definitely still one of their best movies, but I think they got, just in general, they got
Yeah.
better at making movies because the rest of the first phase isn't up to par with Iron Man and the first Avengers movie.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But like, if you talk to me about phase 2, bruh. Talk to me about phase 3, bruh.
Phase 2 gave me Guardians of the Galaxy. And
Phase 2 gave us The Winter Soldier.
I will never forget.
That was fire.
Oh, that too.
And that's when I
like my
started to
favorite
really
MCU
like
movie.
Cap.
That's when I started being like, yo, I guess I got to start watching Marvel movies like
Yeah.
all the time. Like, this is it.
But yeah, Cap picked up Thor's hammer and whooped on Thanos with it. And
I
That's all
love
that really
that
needs to be
like
said.
we got a hint of that
In Age of Ultron.
in Age of Ultron. I showed my mom that scene because she hadn't seen that movie. I was like, look at this scene, and she was like, okay. And then she actually got to appreciate it in Endgame, which I liked.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's that.
Colin.
Number 7.
Number 7.
My number 7 is Hilda from Fire Emblem Three Houses. I was hoping to get more video game characters on this list, but I didn't play enough games that came out this year. I don't play games very fast. But like Three Houses, I made an effort because Three Houses slaps. And like, it's a JRPG. There are memorable characters. It's Fire Emblem. There's so many memorable characters. It's upsetting. But like, Hilda is the best person. Like, her whole thing is that she wants to avoid responsibility for anything at any time. Mostly that's comedic. Like, it's her turn to do the gardening, but she convinces one of the guys to do it for her because she's lazy and doesn't want to. But then like, it gets deeper than that. And it's like, she doesn't want to do anything because she's like afraid of having the responsibility and what happens if she lets people down. But like, when called on to perform, she does. Like, you put an axe in her hand and nobody can stand against her. And like, my favorite thing about her is that sometimes when you put her up against an enemy and she wins, she'll like cheer her own name.
That is adorable.
Like, she'll beat them and then she'll like jump up and down and go, Hilda, Hilda.
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's so good. It's pretty much, that was why I had to put her on this list, because like, you say that you're not good at fighting and that she asked multiple times, like, can I not go to battle? I don't want to do this. And then she's so good at it.
I'm gonna start doing that at work when I get really good scores on tests.
You should
Be
do
like,
that.
Gabby.
You
Yo,
really should.
if you're if
your
you're not
own
gonna
cheerleading
root for
section.
yourself, who else is going to? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just like, that game is full of characters I like, but she was the one that like I just kept coming back to, as like, talking to you is always fun because you're always just the best.
Gabby, number 7.
So my number 7, I'm looking up the name of this character just to make sure that I get it right, because I put the name of the character down that like everybody calls them. So my number 7 is Priest from Fleabag, played
the hot
by
priest.
Yes, Andrew Scott, that everybody calls Hot Priest. Oh my god, the motherfucking priest.
There we go. The thirsting has begun.
Oh goodness gracious. Sorry.
And she said she wasn't going to.
No, I said I was gonna go thirst over Chris Evans, which I
No,
didn't.
that's not what you
I
You
was
said.
didn't
really proud of
specify.
myself.
You just said you
Gosh
would keep it
darn
thirsting to none. And
Oh,
you
okay.
didn't, but it's fine. 'cause
Sorry, I meant over Chris
We
Evans.
didn't believe you.
I was still right.
Okay, that's not the point. The point is, so first of all, I like the way this character was played by Andrew Scott, in that he was like, I'm religious. I understand you're not religious, but you're coming to me for help, which means this is my perspective. I'm going to give it to you from my perspective, which is the religious standpoint. I also like that he, like, even though they did ultimately fall in love and he did kind of cheat on the church with her,
Choices were made.
he ultimately chose, you know, his religion over her, and she kind of accepted that. And I also like that. So in Fleabag, most of the show is her talking to the camera in like breaking the fourth wall. And the way that you could tell he was special is he could tell that she was talking to us.
Yo, that sounds weird as hell.
Well, what would happen is they'd be talking and she'd look at us and he'd be like, where did you go? And she'd be like, what? And he's like, you just went somewhere. And she was like, what are you talking about? And then this other time, like, she started talking to us and he's like, why do you keep saying that? And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, you kept saying this. And so that's stuff, like, she would say something to him and then say something to us. And he could hear both things.
That's funny.
So that's how you knew he was, like, special. And I loved that they did that. It just was like a really interesting way of playing with that fourth wall breaking and playing with the different characters. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge was like, I was only going to do one season of Fleabag. And then she came up with the concept of somebody being able to see her breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And then she was like, okay, I'll come back because I can do something interesting with this.
It's pretty dope.
So I really love the hot priest. He like added depth to her and he was really great character and he was really, really hot. There's like a scene. Oh my gosh. There's a scene where she's like goes in the confessional. She's like giving him a confession and then like he gets out and she leaves the room, and then he goes like on your knees, and you're like, ah! And he's like right in front of her. Oh God, it was just, there's a reason everyone's like hot priest. Anyway, hot priest.
So
That's
much
my
just
number
happened just now.
7.
All right, so my number 7 is Margot Hansen from The Magicians, portrayed by Summer Bishil. Now, Margot's always been like a really awesome character on that show, but like she's never really been explored too deeply outside of her relationships with the other characters on the show, which is why this season was awesome, because we kind of got more of her backstory. Like before season 4 started, we knew that she had robbed a bank at some point as a teenager, but that was about all we knew about her backstory. So it was nice to actually get like a sense of what her family life had been like at some point. Since the show started, like she started as like the quintessential mean girl who kind of becomes friends with the main protagonist through like her gay bestie. And then she's kind of developed into one of the best characters on the show. She's like really witty and sarcastic. She's very pragmatic. So she's willing to like make the hard choices that nobody else is willing to make. She one time traded her best friend's child to fairies because it was the right thing to do for their kingdom. She's very loyal to her friends. She's super caring about them as well. She's consistent.
Cool. So we're just going to gloss over that, huh? Trading a child that isn't yours.
The thing
kinda
is,
rude.
Margot makes bad
Really rude.
Here's the thing about the magicians. You can make bad decisions on the magicians and realize later on that you made a horrible decision, which Margot does a lot. She's incredibly intelligent. There's a game that they play in the first season where you have to be really good at magic, and you also have to think really quick on your feet. You have to know your stuff. And it's literally like her favorite game to play. And I was like, oh, you're really, really smart. Like, you would never tell because you're the quintessential mean girl, but you're smart.
That's how I feel about trivia games. Because, you know, I don't think I'm the smartest, but I know a bunch of random stuff that nobody knows. So it's like, yeah.
She's incredibly fashionable. Like, she always has the best clothes on the show. She has some of the best one-liners, and she's a king. It's awesome. She's the king of a country, and it's great. But the thing that we learned about her character this season, there's like one episode that stands out above the rest. Her character goes to the desert because she's trying to get some pickaxes so that she can save her best friend because he's currently being possessed by a monster. And she gets high on some lizard sweat. And she's
okay.
Yeah, this show gets weird. It's also a musical episode. And she starts.
Listen, Dallas, it's the quenchiest.
Yeah, she also starts hallucinating that her best friend is her subconscious. And so there's one really awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, there's one really amazing scene where she's been trying to, in order to make these pickaxes, she has to find these little black like sand like crystals. They're about the size of sand, but she has to get a full bag worth of them. And she's talking to her subconscious about her life, and she was the apple of her father's eye, and she was brought up to believe that she could be anything until she became a woman that he, to quote her subconscious, couldn't control, who didn't need anyone else's approval. And like some of the best lines from this show are in this scene. Like, I'm not gonna go through all of them because I'm gonna talk about this scene again, but it also has some of the best messages as well. Like one of the lines that she says is, you can be one of the smart ones or one of the pretty ones or even a strong one, but try to be all three. You better learn to smile and shut up, because the second you're you, the second I'm loud, pissed off, it's what a bitch, what a slut, who the fuck does she think she is? And like, as a woman, I can relate to that. I've had so many people who think like I'm an asshole just because I refuse to smile, or just like I'm not in the mood to smile. Like, what do I have to smile about at this moment in time? I feel that. Like,
That happens to me at work all the time.
yeah, that scene is so good. And I'm going to talk about it more later. But yeah, just getting to know Margot more this season. I hate the romantic relationship they put her in this season, but like getting to know her better was so great. And it allowed Summer Bishil to do so much. And I loved it. So yeah, my number 7.
Dope.
Margot Hansen. Number 6, Dallas.
Number 6 for me is the genie from Aladdin,
Ado.
Woo! Will Smith.
played by Will Smith, my favorite person ever.
We should have warned you guys that there will probably be no skips in this episode.
Yeah, it's not a lot of overlap, but you know, that's fine.
But like with like TV shows and movies, like me and Colin both have people from Letterkenny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not enough to skip each other.
Yep. But the genie.
So, like I said in number 9 about Detective Pikachu, this character was so good that a movie was on my list just basically because how much I love this character. Like, I wanted to see Aladdin in theaters again because I love the genie and the songs that he brought. It's Will Smith. Like, you know, he's doing his charismatic Will Smith. It's like Hitch, but in Agrabah.
Well, it was like Hitch meets The Fresh Prince
Yeah,
meets like actual Will Smith.
exactly.
It was
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's all we really need to say. It's Will Smith. in Aladdin as the genie. Like,
And everybody was like doubting, and I was just like, Will Smith is going to be Will Smith, and it's going to be dope.
I knew it
Yeah.
was going to work because they did kind of that in like the Broadway play where they cast somebody black and had them be very like outrageous.
And it works really well.
And it
in
worked well for the genie. So when I heard that they cast Will Smith in like the live action, I was like, great. They took what worked from Broadway musical and chose like somebody big.
Yeah, because nobody's ever going to outdo Robin Williams.
No, you have
but
to go in a
if you-
different direction.
If you, it's not even like he went in a different direction. He is just a different person. The genie from the animated movie is Robin Williams, but heightened.
yeah.
The genie in the 2019 live action Aladdin is Will Smith, but heightened.
Yeah.
Like, these are just two different people. So, yeah, they're going to be two different genies.
And I love it. That's pretty much all we need to say about the genie.
Colin, number 6.
All right. Gonna talk to myself on this one.
That's me, this whole list. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, none of y'all watch anime and it just is upsetting. My number 6 is Kirishima from My Hero Academia. I don't remember his first name because they don't say it very often, but he's a typical shonen character. He's all like yelling and heroism and what's up.
Is he the one with half burned face?
No,
Okay.
that's Todoroki and he's fine.
Oh, yes.
He is also there. He's like trying to be Zuko and he's just not getting there.
Ah.
Yeah.
I
it's
have a
like,
friend, or my friend's boyfriend cosplays as Todoroki and Zuko.
Yo, that's awesome. That would make sense. But like, he's just like, he's so typical that I almost want to dislike him. But because he's not the protagonist, it works. Like, if he were the protagonist, this would be another garden variety shonen show and I might not care. But he's so, like, he believes in himself until he doesn't believe in himself. But then he realizes that he should believe in himself and he's going to save the day because that's who he is. Kirishima is just, he's so much fun. And like, it's one of the things that like in a show full of people with superpowers, he has like, it's not that impressive. He can harden. He's basically a glorified Metapod. That's all he is.
Oh, I've seen
And it
characters.
works.
Black Lightning. His daughter has that power. She changes her density.
Yeah, that's all he does is like he makes his body harder so he can punch harder. And it's like, that's, oh, I heard a wolf whistle from Kayla in the background. You should see his costume. It kind of looks like bondage.
Ooh.
But he's not sexual at all. It's great. Anyway, but like, he's fun and he has 2 episodes in this season that are basically devoted to him and both named after him, which is weird because he's not the main character and he's in a show full of like, you know, a huge ensemble, but he's just so good and so nice and he punches things real good and I love it.
This is the
Also,
second
he has
time-
like
oh, yeah,
shark
Marco.
teeth and it's weird.
He has shark teeth?
They're like, all of his teeth are like pointy for no reason. It's a good look.
Sounds dope.
Yeah.
Also, this is the second anime that I've been aware of you watching in which one of the characters, for some reason, dresses or acts like they're involved in bondage.
Okay, no. The first time, I will 100% give it to you. That was
Yeah.
literally the point,
Yeah.
was that he was into bondage
Yeah.
and that, you know, masochism gave him power.
Yes.
This one, the costume just looks like that, but it is never referenced that way.
Right.
It's not supposed to look that way.
Yeah.
It just happens to.
That's why I said.
Also, he is a
looks like
child.
or is into bondage. I'm just gonna say that. I don't. I'm not making any inferences or implications.
Sounds
Just-
like you are.
no.
Sounds like you are. Gabby, number 6.
My number 6 is Crowley and Aziraphale from Good Omens. Played by
Hey, they were
David-
almost on my list, and then they
Yeah.
weren't.
They're played by David Tennant and Michael Sheehan, and they were my favorite married couple ever, even though they're not married.
Oh, yeah.
They were the best part of Good Omens. I didn't care about any of the plot of Good Omens. I only cared about Crowley and Aziraphale. And honestly, the whole plot of Good Omens would have still gone on, even if these characters weren't around.
Oh my gosh, it's like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, but they were the best part, and they are a demon and an angel respectively. I really like them. They had really great chemistry. I particularly like what they did with Crowley. There was a scene where there's a part where Crowley comes to be a governess for what they think is like the future demon spawn or the Antichrist. And he shows up at the door dressed as a woman, but it's not played for comedy. It's just played like that's his disguise, is he's dressed as a woman. And I appreciate that because often, like, you know, men dressed as women is a joke.
It's a very big comedy trope and has been for years.
Yeah. Whereas in this case, it wasn't a joke at all. It was just what he happened to be dressed as.
Who was the actor?
David Tennant.
Was it David Tennant dressed in women's clothing, or
No.
was it the character is a woman? What?
It was David Tennant dressed in women's clothing
Okay, got it.
and like doing a high pitched voice.
So he's actually pretending to be a woman.
Yeah, pretending to be a woman, but like instead of it being a joke, it was like they needed a governess, so he dressed as the demon dressed as a woman to raise the Antichrist. They need a woman to be the government.
Choices
governess.
were made, Dallas.
I'm just curious because like I'm picturing Kilgrave using a high pitched voice to the point where we can't tell that's him, and it's just like,
oh no,
I don't know how you play that straight.
You can tell it's him.
Right, but the characters he's trying to deceive wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a demon. They've never seen the demon before. It's just a woman comes at the door.
It's the voice that's throwing me off. Like David Tennant's voice.
It
is
worked.
Like,
it worked.
okay.
I think the way to make it work is just to remember that no one in the show knows that that's not who he is.
Yeah. You got to
Just
see the
the
show.
voice.
It's a good show. It's a mini series. And then what I also like is their relationship. They would have tea together and they would report fake facts back to their bosses. Like Crowley would report back that the world was like horrible and blah, blah, blah. And Aziraphale would be like, my job as an observer is going as it's supposed to go. And like in between, they would like just get together and have coffee and basically just be best friends and judge each other a little bit, but also at the same time not. It just was a really great relationship. I really appreciated it. And it was the best part of the miniseries. Yeah, sorry. Last thing. I like that at one point, like you do see how much they actually really love each other. And I like that it wasn't exactly a big deal, but it was just like, they love each other. I love it. Okay, next. Go. Moving on.
All right, so my number 6 is Hope Michelson from Legacies. There's something so gratifying about watching a character develop from their birth all the way up to teenagehood, because her character originated on a show called The Originals. And the entire point of basically The Originals was her family trying to protect her. So in the first season, she was born. In the second season, she's like a 1-year-old or something. The third season, she's like walking age. The fourth season, she's like 8. In this final season, the 5th season, she's 15. And then now Legacies is just following her now that she's 17 years old, going to a school full of supernatural beings, because she is a tribrid, meaning that she is a witch, a werewolf, and a vampire.
What?
Yes, because her father is an original vampire werewolf hybrid.
And what was her mother?
Not a witch. Her grandmother was a witch. So she is also a witch. You're gonna sit here and tell me I'm wrong? No, her mother was a werewolf. But because all the things that she's gone through, it's a joke that we're just gonna keep going. Because of the life that she lived in the originals, her life has been full of tragedy and stuff like that. She's actually, by the time we get to Legacies, she has lost both of her parents. She loses both of them in the final season of the originals. So she keeps her distance in fear that she'll lose more people. Almost every character on this show has a crush on her. I kid you not. We're on character numbers 5 or 6 that likes her. And she's also canonically bi, which is awesome. It's great.
Cute.
She's like, yeah, it's like, one of the girls had a crush on her as a kid, and she's like, oh, I had a crush on her too for like a week at one point. And then like she's got a boyfriend right now, and then her boyfriend's like foster brother also has a crush on her, and then 2 of the kids at the human high school also have a crush on her. It's a thing, and literally you can ship her with every single one of these people, and you're not wrong. But yeah, it's great. She's an incredibly powerful character. She's witty. She's emotional, though she really tries to hide it. She's very capable, jaded, but she's really gentle. She's willing to sacrifice for others. Literally, the first season ends with her trying to sacrifice her life to save everybody else, to save the world. And then when she comes back in the second season, everybody doesn't remember who she is. She's literally been erased from the memories of everybody she's ever met. So she tries to keep herself a secret because she sees that everybody else is living a life that's going really well without her. So she's willing to sacrifice literally her entire existence in all these people's lives because they're having a nice life.
Rough.
She's vengeful like her father, but she's merciful like her mother. And she always has like this underlying sadness to her, which is like, she's gone through tragedy a lot. So
Yikes.
It's wonderful. I love the actress who plays her, Danielle Rose Russell. She's really great. One of my favorite lines from the originals was she was talking to her father, and he tells her, all that power, still merciful. Because he's telling her that she reminds him a lot of her mother because she's so merciful. Like, she's like the most powerful being in the world, but she chooses to be a merciful person. Like her boyfriend, and it's something that's a trait that has continued on into this show, which I really admire. because there is a point in season 1 of Legacies where her boyfriend ends up dying because I think he gets bitten by one of her friends from school who's a vampire. He like kills him.
Yikes.
In like a rage. And
That's rude.
she's so upset. But also this vampire who killed him is also dying.
Aww.
And so because he got bit by a werewolf.
Goodness gracious, so much biting.
She has the chance to save him. She has the chance to save him because only she can save him. Only she has the cure for that type of bite.
Right.
So she could
Is
say
it her bite? Just kidding.
I think it's her blood.
Oh, of course.
So like in that moment, like
cut,
she could
drip,
be
drip, drip.
she could be like, you killed my boyfriend, I'm not gonna save you, you deserve to die too. But she is so merciful. In that moment she has all the power in the world to just be like, no, I'm the only person who can save you and my decision is no.
Ooh,
But
I would have done that.
And she decides, no, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna save your life. And she's so, and in that moment I was just like, oh my gosh, that line still applies to her so much, and I loved it.
Wow.
But then luckily for her boyfriend's a phoenix, so he came back to life.
Cool. You know what I would have done?
He didn't know
I
that.
would have cut myself and dripped right next to him.
No, no.
And been like, I have the power to save you. And look, I'm just wasting it.
No, look. But yeah, Hope Michelson. I love Hope Michelson. She's one of my favorite characters of recent years. And the actress who plays her is just fantastic. It's been fun watching her grow as an actress. So,
Dope.
yeah, number 6, Hope Michelson. Number 5, Dallas.
We're in the top 5.
Top 5. Oh my gosh, we're going to get there.
Oh my
Number
God,
5.
we're going to finish at a reasonable hour. Wow.
Peter Parker, Spider-Man,
Hey.
played
Woo.
by the gift that is Tom Holland.
My mom.
Woo.
So my mom has now become a Tom Holland fan.
Nice.
Not because
Yay.
she likes some of the Marvel movies and like she likes Spider-Man,
Mhm.
obviously. No, but she's a Tom Holland fan because of his appearance on Lip Sync Battle.
Oh my God. Everyone should be.
Yeah, he's great. He's Spider-Man, and I love him. And
He's exactly Spider-Man.
he's the best. Oh my God.
I know there are people out there who like complain because they're like, he's not exactly like Peter Parker from the comic books. It's like, well, he can't be because of this Sony Marvel deal and the way that the storyline is played out. But he is the most Peter Parker.
He's the closest we've ever gotten to the actual comic book Spider-Man. He's great Spider-Man.
Mhm.
He's a great Peter Parker.
He is. And honestly, I think every movie with him in it, I spend long enough talking about how great he is. So, yeah, we don't really need to say a lot about it. He's great. He's Peter Parker. He's Spider-Man.
Fair.
And I love him. Moving on.
He's an emotional being and we adore him. Colin, number 5.
So good.
Okay, so I guess I'm skipping half of this because my number 5 is Rayla and Soren from Dragon Prince.
Hell yeah.
So what am I skipping?
Skip.
Rayla?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So then I'll just talk about Soren, which is fine because I love him so much. He's like one of my favorite himbos. He's just, I like the stupid men. And he is the stupidest of men. But like,
Played by the same person that plays Sokka, right?
no.
No, that's a
That's
different
another
character.
character on the show.
This guy. Got it. Got it.
He's just like, he's so dense and he's so silly, but he's also like, you can tell that he does have a really kind heart, and like this season was really, really good for that.
Excuse me, sir. 2 seasons.
Well, I'm sorry. Yes, but yes, okay, we did get 2 seasons this year, but the season 3 was, I feel like, more. There's a significant change in who he is by the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
and like what he's doing.
Yeah, he gets a great. We can call it a redemption arc, right?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The actor is Jesse Inokala. Hope I said your last name right, dude. But yeah, moving on. He's great. He's an oaf, and he's not bad at what he does, though. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
he's an airhead, but as a soldier, as a fighter, as a warrior, he's very good at it.
So it's
Yeah.
like
He's very
Sokka.
competent.
Where like Sokka's really good at making a plan.
No, because
Because
Sokka
Sokka
is
wasn't
also smart. He's probably the smartest one in that group.
That's true.
He
Yeah,
just-
Sokka's just
yeah.
silly.
I
But
feel
he's
like they're
not
kind of
dumb.
opposites in that regard. Like
Sokka just
Sokka's
doesn't want to be
not.
involved in any of
Sokka
this.
wasn't the best
no,
warrior.
Sokka was like the best
in
at
the
making
group.
a plan. Like they would
Yeah,
be like,
but
"What's
he
the
didn't want to
plan?"
be involved. From what I've seen so far, which is I'm only at the beginning of
That's
season
so
2.
far.
He
He gets
so
more.
far.
doesn't
involved
want to
in
be
it.
involved.
Just the whole
Yo,
space
you
sword
just gotta
thing.
watch the whole
But
thing.
yeah,
Oh, the space sword.
It's interesting because I feel like Sokka and Soren are opposites in that Sokka isn't really good at fighting, at least in the beginning,
Yeah.
and he doesn't get good until like the end.
yeah.
But he's really good at the strategy and like the
Mhm.
thinking part. Soren can't think for shit, but put a
So
sword
put them
to-
together and you
Fighter.
get one whole person.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. They'd be the
Woo.
greatest together. But he's just so good.
I love.
Like he tries to. He's just his comedy is also really good. Like he tries to write a haiku, but doesn't know what a haiku is. I think.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's just writing things. He's great. He's just so great. He has to keep telling Callum that sweeping the leg is not a thing in sword fighting.
Yeah.
The problem with Dragon Prince is that they've given us 2 seasons this last year alone.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of content, and trying to remember which things happened in season 1 versus season 2.
Oh, I had to
then
remind
season
myself,
3
yeah.
is like, when I'm making my list, it's like, wait, this character did that in season 1, so that wouldn't really count for
Especially in this binge culture that we're currently in.
I think the way it worked for me with Dragon Prince was trying to remember remember where they were in like season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Are they that same character now? Okay, and then go
Right.
based on that, because otherwise I can't remember the specific events,
Mhm.
because as you said, so much happens. But it's like, cool, you were like this 2 seasons ago, now you're like this. That's what I'm appreciating.
But yeah, Sword is great. This is just a show full of great characters.
It really is,
Yes.
and we'll get back
So
to
far.
that later.
Oh, definitely.
Oh hell yeah.
Gabby.
Number 5.
Yes, my number 5 is Wayne from Letterkenny.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Okay, here's why I like Wayne. I just like how Wayne is like the dad of the group, and he's like all about tradition. He's clearly the one people like kind of center themselves around, and he's kind of like, he's really funny and also like really, really just really attractive.
I don't know that I feel the same way, but I get why you do.
He's like that stoic man that I just
But
want
see,
to
the thing
crack
I
open
like about
and
him
see the
though
inside.
is that he's stoic, but not
Unapproachable.
unapproachable and not unemotional.
Yeah.
Like he will talk about his feelings when he feels the need to.
Yeah, or like if he's heartbroken, like he's gonna take his time in a shack for a few days and be sad.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen. I really dig him. I like that people come to him for help, and he's like, he asks him a couple questions, and he's like, all right,
They also don't always have to come to him. Like I don't think you've gotten there, but at the end of this season,
I finished it.
he specifically chooses to go do something to help somebody else. They don't know that he's coming, but it's like,
Yep.
this is something I need to do. This person I
Yep,
like,
and he
is
rounds
having
the troops,
an issue.
too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And then they all show up, which I like. I like that the whole season it was like, if you hurt this person, like the whole town's going to be lined up to get you.
Yeah.
And then the whole town lined up to get him. Like, oh, so good. Oh, yeah. I like his strength. I like the character, like how stoic he is and how much he loves his dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene where they're like in the front porch talking about like December,
Yeah.
and they're just like, like he's just
He does a lot with very little.
exactly, which I appreciate. Like he's about what he's about, and there's very little that sways him. And it's kind of nice to see a character like that. Seems really old fashioned,
Yeah.
but oddly like
But
modern.
not, it's old fashioned, but not in a way that's like weird or like not progressive or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, I've seen this before. I haven't seen this in a long time, but I like it. It's like a stoic dad, even though he's like in his late 20s, early 30s.
Mhm.
Like, I like Wayne. He's my favorite, or one of my favorites from Letterkenny. So I put him up there. I also really like Bonnie McMurray. Mostly because every time she walks in, everybody goes, Bonnie McMurray.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I really enjoyed the season. I burned through it way too fast.
Same.
I burned through it in like half a
Same.
day.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, oh, great. Now I have to wait a whole year.
Yep.
But it's fine. I'm looking forward to seeing more Letterkenny.
Mm-hmm. To me.
My number 5 is Yennefer of Vengerberg.
Skip.
Oh,
Yes! Yes! Oh,
Yennefer,
That's one. Wow.
Yennefer
Wow.
of Vengerberg.
I knew we would. I didn't know if it was going to be me skipping or you skipping.
I thought it was on your actor list. Damn.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, skip.
But I just want to say Yennefer of Vengerberg from Netflix's The Witcher,
Witcher.
portrayed by Anya Chalotra.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Skip it.
Dallas, number 4.
King Ezrin from The Dragon Prince.
Hey, I respect it.
Yes, portrayed by Sasha Rogen or Rohan. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your last name either. But
I like that you used the title.
Oh yeah, King Ezrin.
Yes.
Ezrin is the king. Gabby, how far did you get in Dragon Prince?
I am still on like episode 7.
Okay, cool. Yeah, some things are going to spoil for you. But
It's fine.
Ezrin is a delight. Like, he's this young, yes, him, that adorable
He's
little
adorable.
black boy. Black boy magic. He is. First off, Ezrin and Callum are brothers. And
Callum's the one that's voiced by
Jack
yes,
DeSena, yeah.
Desena.
and Ezrin becomes the king at the age of like 8.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so pure of like as a person. Viren, evil guy, tries to start a war by making them think, oh, the elves are doing this, da 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 da. We have to attack first. They're gonna come kill us. And they go to Ezrin, who's now the king, and they're like, hey, so we gotta rally up the troops, gotta get these elves. And he's like,
Nah, hung out with some elves. Like,
do we know that they attacked us? They're like, what? Like, he's like, do we know that they're gonna try to attack us? And he's like, well, yeah, they're gonna try to. Of course, they're the elves. They're gonna try to get us. He's like, I don't think we should do that. And everyone is getting frustrated, except for, what is the name of the black dude who is like sent to protect him?
Oh, I know his face. Corvus.
Corvus, yes. Corvus is like,
we should listen to the child.
yes. He's like, hey, I'm here to protect the king. Any of y'all got a problem with the king, you got to deal with me. Yes. And even outside of his being a king, when he was just hanging out with his brother and Rayla, Ezrin is just the purest child. He can speak to animals, which is not a normal thing in the show.
No.
Like, to the point where the other characters are like, why are you talking that thing? Like, do you understand it? And he's like, yeah. He says it's fine. Let's go. He like comes in riding this giant banther, which is a bear panther.
Yep. I love that they kept doing that.
Yes. Except they did it like in a different way, because in Avatar it's just panther bear or bear dog or whatever. Like this was like, we'll just, banther, make the words together.
Yeah.
And Ezrin is just the purest character. I love him so much, and he's so adorable. And he has a sweet tooth like mine. He loves jelly tarts, and he will eat them all day.
2019 was clearly the year of the child character.
Oh, yeah.
For Dallas, at least.
Which, excuse you, I made those jelly tarts, and I remember you not being 100% about them.
There are several of us who have children on our list.
Oh, really? Oh, wait, I have a child.
Exactly. You started
Baby
us
Yoda.
off with Baby Yoda.
Damn it, Gabby. Who's
The
literally
literal
called
baby.
the child on the show.
Literally, his name is the child.
Yeah, I should have said the child from The Mandalorian, but nah, Baby Yoda.
And
All
Colin,
day.
you made those
Every day.
jelly tarts, and the strawberry ones were fuego. I ate like all of those. The orange ones were the ones I had a problem
okay,
with.
I
All right, that's fair.
understand.
But the strawberry was
But
definitely
you know
fire.
what? Baked and cooked orange is hit or miss for me. Usually miss.
But yeah, Ezrin is pure, and he should be protected at all costs, and he is Black Boy Magic, and he is now my Netflix
Black Boy
icon.
Joy.
Aww.
Black Boy Joy, yes.
And
But
Soren
also
is my
magic.
Netflix icon, so it works.
Yes, it does.
Mine and Demi's are probably the same thing.
Colin,
Colin.
who's your number 4?
Me. Let's see. My number 4 is Scorpia from She-Ra. Because the show is
Hey.
moving way too fast.
I forgot that show had a season last year.
Girl, it's moving so fast. I'm really worried. I feel like it's going to do the Voltron thing where it's like, we have 7 seasons in 2 years, and then it's never going to be back again. And it's like, stop, slow down. But anyway, man, Scorpia is just, she's so, there's a theme I'm realizing with a lot of my characters, which I'm immediately going to break on number 3, but that a lot of my characters on the list are just so nice. And Scorpia is one of those.
You just like nice people?
She has big, meaty claws, but she mostly just wants to use them for hugging.
Aww.
And it's like,
That's like me.
and her whole character arc has been like, she really likes the person she's working with, but that person is emotionally abusive.
Oh.
And she doesn't get it, and she doesn't get it, and she doesn't get it. And finally this season, she got it.
Oh, good.
And it's like, oh, I've been waiting for this for multiple seasons, and this is so good. Also, like, now she developed her own like magical power. She can now shoot electricity, which is awesome.
Yes, she's right.
And she's a princess, and it's just like, oh, this is good.
What Colin wants out of the world, guys, is just genuinely nice people who have good things happen to them.
Who are super powerful, apparently.
Well, I mean, that's cool too, but like, yeah, it's just like this was something that her whole character has been just like getting beaten down by this woman she's basically in love with. It sucks because it's not 100% like, fuck you, I'm out, because she still does love her and she still can't really get over that. But it's like, nah, there comes a point where I realize that you're treating me like crap.
And I'm not going to let you anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm out.
But if ever there's a time where you decide you're not going to treat me like crap,
I'm down.
yeah, let's talk. And I like her very much. And like, that show is really fun, but every time she's on screen, it's like, this is much more fun. Like, the show is already good. This makes it better. I want more of this. Give her a spinoff. I'd watch it.
Gabby, number 4.
My number 4 is Stella Cole, played by Shay Mitchell in the show Dollface. And I talked about Dollface on the podcast.
You did.
It's amazing. And the reason I like Stella is she's not the main character. She's one of the supporting cast. But the great thing about her is she has this very larger than life life outside of like her friendships. She like babysits for celebrities or like house sits for celebrities. She gets invited to crazy parties. You can tell from like the things that she says, like just mentions, she has like this really ridiculous life outside of her friends. And so that's what I like about her. It's kind of like Donna from Parks and Rec, where she'll like, you know, she'll be like, "Ooh, I got 2 boys waiting outside in the car for me," and she does, and they happen to be like professional NFL players. Like, so like that's the kind of life that Stella's leading, where like she'll disappear. Like in one episode, she disappeared, and they were like, "Where is she?" And she's like, "I'm at Jimmy's buffet, having a great time." And then they're like, "What?" And she was at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville with David Coulier, who was playing David Coulier, and he was giving her financial advice and like buying her chicken wings. Like it was amazing. And so
It's the weirdest.
I loved it. It's a really surreal show. It's like a surreal comedy.
Especially because I think the weirdest part about it is that it's Dave Coulier.
Yeah,
like,
I
all
think
the actors you could have chosen.
Yeah, no, I think that's the joke. Is like they just chose somebody completely random, and I really like that aspect of the show. It just adds to the surreal comedy of it all. Like Stella's life is just amazing. And what's even greater to me is like Shay Mitchell was pregnant the entire time that she was doing this character, and you cannot tell. Like they'll pan out and do full shots of her body and you can't tell she's pregnant, and I'm like, wow, like really great costuming, I guess,
Or CGI.
or I don't think there was. I think the CGI budget was used for the cat lady, to be honest.
Hate
And
that.
I wish you guys would watch the show. It's really good.
We saw the first episode.
No, see, that's the problem.
I know.
Is you showed me the first episode. It has the cat lady in it. I can't watch
But
that.
then I can't show you any other episode without that one. You'd be like, what is the show? It's random. I'm not following. Anyway, I really like that character. She really adds to the surreal aspect of the show. And yeah, that's why it's top 4.
All right, so my number 4 is my second favorite assassin spy character of all time. Her name is Maria Salazar. She's from Deadly Class.
Was that last year?
Yes, it was the beginning of last year.
Oh,
She's
okay.
played by Maria Gabriela De Faria, and I hope I pronounced her name correctly. I love her. Maria was literally my favorite character in the comic books, and I started reading the comics a few months before I found out they were making a TV show. And when I saw who they cast, I was like, I mean, I didn't know who she was.
Right.
Like, she's like a newcomer from Venezuela.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, I don't know who you are, but like, you look the part, and I'm super excited. Oh my gosh. And then listening to her talk about the character, like, I knew, man. But like, the character itself, there's more detail given to this character on the television show, which I love. Like she does the same things that she does in the comic books, but she's also given a little bit more to do, and there's also more of an explanation behind some of her actions than there are in the comic books, because comic books you have like 30 pages, and the comic book is not about her, it's about the guy that she's dating. So like, we can't spend too much time on her in a 30-page comic book.
Right.
But on a TV series, we can spend a little bit more time developing her, and I love that. She's a survivor. Her parents were killed when she was a small child. She witnessed them being killed. Her father was crucified in like the town square in front of her face.
Goodness
and
gracious.
then she was adopted by basically the mobster who killed her father in front of her.
That sucks.
And he took her and made her into an assassin, basically a child assassin.
Yes, you do.
So now she goes to a school of assassins. She is gracefully lethal, and I love describing her as such because, yes, she is lethal, but she kills in a way that looks like she's dancing because she dresses, oh my gosh, she does like the painted skull face all the time, and she wears like the red dress, and Gabby's not here to give me the name of what she's dressing up as. Gabby, I need you. Because I'm talking about things from Mexican culture that I have no idea about.
Oh, let's go.
Maria Salazar dresses up with the skull candy, and she's got the red dress. She's dressing up as a
Katrina.
Yes, that's what she's dressing up as.
Yeah,
Thank
that's a
you. I
Katrina.
knew that you would tell me what it was, and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
She's gracefully lethal. She does a jump in the show where she spins in midair, and then like she has like this powder that flies off of her fans, and it's like in slow motion, and it's like the most graceful thing I've ever seen in a fight scene.
This is what she's fighting as.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to say that she is relatively these things in comparison to other assassins and spies. She's very genuine. She is friendly when she can be. She wears her heart a little too openly on her sleeve. She's caring. She's extremely emotional. She's pragmatic. She's excitable. And one of my favorite things about her is that, like, she makes mistakes a lot on the show, but she learns from them, and then she never does them again once she's learned from them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so one of my favorite things on the show is her relationship with Marcus, who's the main character, and the different shades of it. Because when we meet Marcus, like, it seems like like it seems like the tropey thing is he's going to end up with Saya because he's interested in Saya, but Saya's not interested in him. So in the long run, it's one of those things where like he's going to wear her down and they're going to end up together. But the thing about it is Maria, who is Saya's best friend, has always been into Marcus and is always open about wanting to be with Marcus. And so he ends up dating Maria. Unfortunately, neither of them need to be in a relationship at that point because it gets really, really toxic really, really fast. But that's one of the things I love about their relationship is that it goes through a really toxic phase. And then, I mean, we don't really get out of that phase in the TV show because they canceled it. But at the end of the season, we get to see Maria become this person who's just like, you treat me like crap and I'm not going to let you do that anymore. And yes, I did some wrong things in this relationship too. And I like, you're not completely to blame. And part of this is my fault. I shouldn't have done some of the things that I did. But now that I know that, I'm never going to let this happen again going forward. And I love that about Maria, that she's willing to be like, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I can self-reflect and see that I did something wrong. I'm not going to do that again. But also, you don't get to treat me like that. So you're never going to do that again either, which is great in the comic books because when she makes that realization, they eventually do get back together. And like, it's a solid relationship. Because now they've talked about their issues and the things that they did wrong. And I love that so much. That it's a relationship that goes from being really toxic to being one that's extremely healthy. And it's my favorite. But I also love that on the show, like in the comic books, she acts out of emotion a lot. But sometimes her emotions seem really erratic. And it's just like, yo, what's up? Like 1 minute you're cool. The next minute you're like not. Like 1 second, like... you're pretty like happy about the fact that you just killed your ex-boyfriend because he was an abusive asshole. And the next is like you're depressed and you're drinking because like you're afraid of what's going to happen. You're also, sad that he's gone and all this stuff. And like before the show came out, they announced that they were making the character bipolar. And I was like, perfect. That's the perfect explanation for why she acts the way she does. Right. And so the show also gets to explore bipolar disorder and her behavior. And like it doesn't necessarily make her actions excusable, but it does explain a lot of her behavior. And like you kind of feel for her because she goes off of her meds for a few episodes.
Oh no.
And like that's also why her relationship with Marcus ends up being pretty toxic as well because she's off of her meds. So she's having her manic episodes and then she's having her depressive episodes. It's incredible. I love it. I love Maria so much because she is so complex and there is so much to her. So Maria Salazar, number 4. Top 3, guys. Top 3.
Top 3.
We made it.
Dallas, number 3.
Number 3 is Callum from the Dragon Prince.
Hey.
Wow.
Yes,
He's
is.
so
Why
complicated.
is like a third of your list just the Dragon Prince?
Because
You know
the
what?
characters
Let him
slap.
But yeah, Callum is King Ezrin's older brother, half brother to be exact. He is played by Jack DeSena, aka Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
And I just gotta point out one scene.
Talk to him. Dallas.
Okay, spoiler alert or whatever. Because the character is played by Jack DeSena, they do something in one of the episodes in which they're like on a trip with an elf. And I think, is it like a staff or something that they're looking at?
Did they say
And-
space staff?
No.
No.
Dang it.
It's
Callum, there's like a staff and at the top is this like arc shape. And Callum just looks at it and he says, there's something familiar. And then he takes it off the staff and he goes, boomerang? And oh my God, we all flipped the hell out. And in the credits of the episode, they show Callum throwing Sokka's boomerang.
What?
They draw an illustration of
What?
it in the credits.
Oh.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing. Just when he says boomerang, I was like, wait, what did they just? And then we all flipped out on the couch.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But this character he has a lot of Sokka energy.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
But without like because Sokka was like the what is it called?
Okay. Yeah.
Humor. The
Comedic relief.
Yes.
He was the
There
comic
we go.
relief, right?
Mhm.
And I don't get that from Callum.
I feel like this show, it spreads it out a lot more.
Yeah.
Because you get it from Callum sometimes, you definitely get it from Soren, but they're not always together. Sometimes it's Rayla. Anyone can do it. And he's also good at what he does because his whole arc is he's trying to become a mage.
Yeah.
But they're like, humans can't do magic unless they kill something because they use dark magic. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. 99% of the time, he doesn't. Only time he does is one exception. And he like squashes a bug or something that people do in real life anyway. But he still doesn't want to do it.
Oh.
And that's what separates him from people like Claudia, Soren's sister, who was like, oh, want to make some magic pancakes? I'm about to kill something.
Okay.
She
We
is,
feed off of death.
yeah, she feeds off of death.
Oh, God.
She's like
Death gives
excited
them
about it too.
Yeah, she's like, oh, dark
Ooh.
magic is great. Let me show you how to kill something. So we
You
can
just
do a spell.
take the magic from something else.
Mhm.
You squeeze the life out of it.
Squeeze
Like,
out of magical creatures. And Callum was like, what is
Oh.
wrong with you? And he's just like, I want to be able to do magic without killing things. And that's his whole thing because he's like his brother. He's just too pure for this world.
Oh.
And yeah, he's great. But honestly, that boomerang scene, it was
I bet
amazing.
you Jack DeSena was like, probably ad-libbed that, and they were like, yes, keep it.
It's great. But yeah, Callum
Aw.
is,
I wish you hadn't told me.
I know, and I'm like hoping you forget by the time
see,
you
that's
watch
what
it.
No,
made me
I'm not
sad is
going
I
to.
saw like gifs of that scene like right before we started watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's the thing, Gabby, you said you're in season 1?
yeah.
Yeah, it's in season 3. You'll forget.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm not going to forget.
Callum's great, and he's one of the reasons that Dragon Prince is one of my favorite shows. Colin, what's your number 3?
All right. So remember how I was saying that I like nice people?
Yeah, this one
Yeah,
isn't
throw
nice.
that out the window. My number 3 is Villanelle from Killing Eve.
Oh, I should have put her on this list.
Yes, you should have.
That's a whole different
But
thing
she's
altogether.
incredible.
You know what? She's on my honorable mention. Put her on there.
It's a little late for that, but like
What's her name?
Villanelle.
Villanelle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like villainess.
I love it so
Yeah.
much
Oh.
because
What's
And
going
she
on?
named herself
Female
as not
like-
her name.
Right.
yeah,
Okay, it's not her actual name.
Good.
It wasn't the name she was born with, but it's the name that everybody calls her because that's
Yeah.
what she's known.
It's her
as.
alias.
It's her
Word.
name. No, it's just her name now.
It's like Voldemort.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like
chose
nobody
that.
knows Tom Riddle. Everybody knows Villanelle.
Villanelle.
Actually, I don't even remember her character's like real name.
They say it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Call
it
it.
doesn't matter. She's Villanelle.
Oh, she's
After like a
so
perfume brand, apparently.
fun. Oh, really? Yeah. But like,
She's also fucking crazy.
but
and
see, I
wild.
like it because when I went into the show not knowing very much about it, I thought she was going to be your typical like femme fatale, where she was like silent and emotionless and cold, and she kills people and doesn't blink. And she's not.
No.
She has emotions and she experiences them and expresses them, and like it's not always to her benefit.
No.
Like she'll have a contract, she'll have a job where she has to go kill this dude, and she'll do it, and she's supposed to do it, you know, silently and so covertly, and she's just like, no, it's much more fun
She's like
if I make a big scene out of it
Yep.
and kill this dude like in a window in front of people.
Or like, take his tie as he going up an elevator and kill him that way.
Yeah. Or like have an entire conversation with him about like whether or not she's going to kill him, even though we both know she is.
Yeah. Or like ask him where he got his bed sheets before
Yeah.
she kills them,
What
and then buys the bed sheets.
Yeah. They were really nice sheets.
Oh, they were.
And you should see how she looks when she gets them. She's so
Oh,
happy.
she's like so happy. She does not care that she. And also, I feel like that's more akin to like a real psychopath.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know any real psychopaths.
Like from what I've seen from like the serial killer documentaries that I watch, they'll go from like killing somebody to like going on a shopping spree, or like going from killing somebody to like meeting up with their girlfriend and their girlfriend's family.
They gotta
and
live
like
their
going
lives.
to dinner. Like, so Villanelle, like, playing this cat and mouse game with somebody and then leaving and then like buying the sheets that were on that person's bed because she thought they were beautiful and couture, and then like lying on them and looking at her next project went along with like that Ted Bundy documentary. Or like Villanelle, like you can tell she's a serial killer. She has a problem. Like it's one of those things where it's like, it's shown kind of almost like a disease, like she has to kill, like the way that they're described in like true crime docs and stuff, where like when they took away, when the dude was like, no, you can't go on a job for a while, like she was itching for it, like she stole the card from him so that she could go and do it. So like I like that aspect too. It's like she's shown as somebody that's like got a problem. She has a problem.
Yeah. But like her whole, just everything she does in the show is so much fun to watch because I can never quite tell what she's going to do.
Yeah, that's also what's scary about her.
Yeah. It's interesting because she's scary. She can be scary in one moment and then almost sympathetic in the next.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Or like she's in love with, or as close to love as she can get with what's her name?
Eve.
With Eve.
Hence the name of the show.
Yeah, Killing Eve.
Yeah.
Sandra Oh's character. There we go. And especially that very last scene where she's like, we can be together, and like she's got like her hands all over her, and she's like, and then like Eve starts figuring stuff out, but she's like, even that scene, like when you're like, oh, Eve's about to break her heart, you were like feeling for her, even though like you just watched her do some really fucked up shit. Like, ugh. And played so well by Jodie Comer. Like she deserved that Emmy, man.
Well, we'll come back to that later.
But yeah, she should have been on my list. I can't believe I forgot about her.
It's okay. I didn't. So we're good.
Yeah.
Number 3, Gabby.
My number 3 is Yennefer.
Let's talk about Yennefer.
Yes.
Come on.
Okay,
My
we
new
haven't
child.
gotten to talk enough about The Witcher because neither of us, I think, had finished it when we first brought it up.
No, we hadn't.
And goodness gracious.
My love.
Okay, here's the thing.
My
A
Witcher
lot of
love.
people are starting to give up on The Witcher episode 3. And I would tell you, don't do it.
Please don't.
Stick with it. It gets way better and it picks up. Also, what I want people to know is like this show is about the characters this season. It is not about the fantasy aspect of it. Although you do get a bit of like a taste of that as the season goes on.
Oh my god. Okay. I have notes. I have
do too.
notes. Let
Just
me
from
talk
my
about
head.
my girl Yen. First off, I love her.
I like the way she starts out.
Yo, character development.
right?
Man.
From
Yennefer has a wonderful and very intriguing transformation from like this deformed teenager who's seeking love and power. Like that's all she wants. And then she becomes an all-powerful sorceress who just is
Wants
so
to give
jaded and cynical.
no, but
because
also
of-
wants to
well,
give
no, she
love.
wants to give love, but she's become so jaded and cynical because of the life that she's been leading so far.
Yeah.
And like you get to explore the spectrum of her personality because the timeline just
Allows
we
you
spend
to.
about 70 years
with her.
with Yen.
Yeah.
So episode 2 Yen is different from episode 3 Yen, who's very different from episode 4 Yen.
But
who
it's
is
because you've
super
got-
different from episode 5 Yen.
Yeah, but it's because you've got different decades going on.
Yeah, you've got
the time and the space somehow.
We're jumping from one time to the next, and
Yeah.
like 1 second we might be with her at the age of 14, but 2 episodes later she might be
70
like in
or
her
80
40s.
years old. Yeah.
But not
Even
aging.
though she doesn't age, she looks the same.
Oh my gosh.
The only thing that they change is like she has like some physical. She has like hunchback and some.
But
stuff
even
with
then,
her
that's
face
not a change that's made over decades. That's
No.
a change that is made
overnight.
pretty immediately, and
Yeah.
from then on, that's what she looks like.
But I like that at the beginning, all it was for Yennefer was like being the beautiful thing that she hasn't gotten to ever be before.
Yes,
And she doesn't really care about the magic. She doesn't really care about anything other than where she's placed and that she gets to be pretty.
Well,
there.
it's not even just being pretty though. She does want to be loved and adored.
That's
Which
true.
is what that first sex scene is about in episode 3.
Yeah.
I've never found out so much about a character based on a sex scene.
right.
Like, I learned so much about her personality from that scene.
And also
Because
how powerful she was because that was
Yeah.
a projection.
Yeah, she really just she wants to be loved and she wants to be adored, and if she has to be in her mind, that means she has to be beautiful in order to get that. But
Yeah.
her biggest fear is not being loved and adored, even if she is beautiful.
Despite being beautiful.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that about her. I love that Yennefer is so complex of a character, that she has so many layers. I am also a huge fan of almost any female character that is unapologetically ambitious.
Yeah.
This is a woman who, if she feels that something is going to get her to where she wants to go,
Then she
she's
does
going to
it.
do it.
And that's what she did in that third episode. Is she like went through a
Second
horrible
episode even.
Was that the second episode?
Second episode was the one with the eels. The second episode is the one where she manipulates Istrid.
shit.
Yeah, no, she from day one.
She's not messing around.
and
But I
episode 2 is
like
also the
that
first
because-
episode where we meet her.
That's true. She does a lot. I mean, that episode was really long. Or like it felt like
They
a lot
all
was
are.
happening. I understand why people are like, "Oh, this is boring. Where's The Witcher?" Because he's not really in that episode. But it's like, bitch, she's the best character.
She's like the best
in
character on the
this
show.
whole show.
Yo, she's just so man.
And she's so powerful. And like, I like that in this show, because Game of Thrones was like, it's implied that these people are powerful, but you don't really get to see it. In this show, they're like, let me show you her magic. And you
Oh,
get
man,
to
she's so
actually
good.
see it. And it's super cool.
I also love that her character is allowed to make mistakes and then later on regret making them
And like
or
learns
feel
from
different.
them.
Yeah, or feel differently about them. Like
Like
the choice
going to
that
court.
the choice that she makes in the third episode in order for her transformation to work.
Yeah.
It's only a couple episodes later that we realize that she completely regrets making that decision.
Yeah, she was like, what did I do? Why did I do that? I want my choice back.
Yeah, like
And-
because it's, and that's the other thing. Okay.
And also,
That's
I like that she regrets going to court. And I like
yeah,
that
she realizes
she's like,
that
ugh,
it's
I've just
awful.
been like, not just, yeah, but I like that she also realizes it was a waste of her potential. She's like,
Yeah.
all I've been doing is like making this rich dude hide his stupid rich dude bullshit from this other rich dude or from his wife, and I'm fucking sick of it. And I like also that instead of like just asking to be placed somewhere else, she's like, fuck this, and she completely
she
quits.
goes independent. But
Yeah.
also like there's like, I remember before the show started, I had read somewhere that like her desire, that she has a desire to have a baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such an overused trope for women. Why are we still doing this? Come on.
And
but
see, I thought it was something different.
No, it's Natasha has the same issue. She's sterile and she thinks she's a monster because she can't have kids. Like, I mean, if that's how you read that scene, that's how you read it. But the thing is, like, I like the way that they do it with Yen, because Yen's feels so much more layered, because she wants to have kids because not like it's because she gave up a choice.
I don't know if she wants to have kids.
No.
I thought she wants to just have her fertility back, like the ability to choose.
She definitely wants kids.
Okay.
And it's there are two sides to it. She wants to have the choice to have children again because she gave it up and she realized that she was dumb for doing that.
Or she gave it up for a dumb reason.
Yeah, she gave no. I think she's upset that she gave it up.
Is that what that whole thing with the baby was with that lady in the portals?
No, I thought that was her desire.
That is her realization
that she did want children.
That she wants children.
Oh,
because
cool.
and it becomes important. That's the second side of the thing, is because the mother tells her this child depends and loves me no matter what, and that's what Yen has always been yearning for, is somebody to love her no matter what. So she wants a child, because that child will love her unconditionally.
Oh, that's what.
And like that's why I'm like, there are so many layers to that trope with Yen,
and also I like the way that she realized it, because she was like, okay, fuck the mom, but now I have this baby and I can make it work with this baby, and then the baby fucking dies.
Yeah,
and it's so sad.
But also my other, and I want to end it here because we've been going on about Yennefer for a while. Yennefer's awesome, but I love her dynamics with Istrid.
Oh, Istrid. Which one's Istrid?
Istrid is the first guy that she falls in love with.
Oh, that dude.
The argument scene that they have in episode 3 where he's like, oh, you don't make a good victim, and she's like, yeah, well, he's like, victim doesn't look good on you, and she's like, heroism doesn't look good on you.
Ooh.
Like, that entire argument is just like, bruh.
Oh, that one was really mean, because they really knew each other.
But they were
well.
both being truthful and honest, and it was accurate.
And also, but just being mean. Like, it was the kind of mean you can only be when you know somebody.
But I love her dynamic with Tissaia de Vries, who is her mentor, and I also love her dynamic with Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I need more of that next season, because we only get 2 episodes of them interacting.
Freaking episode, was it 6?
6 is the dragon. 5 is when they first meet.
That one.
So good. Yennefer is just great.
I just wanted to hold both of them and be like, it's going to be okay.
Yennefer is great. I love her to pieces.
Oh, they're so good. They're my favorite.
She's one of my new faves.
Yep. She's
Cannot wait for season 2, which is not until 2021.
Yep, 2021.
Such a powerful woman.
Oh, so good. So great.
All right. We're on to my number 3, which it doesn't feel like we are, because I just spent so much time talking about Yennefer.
Yep.
Oh my God, I forgot that wasn't yours.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That was my number 5.
Yep. That was my number 3.
So my number 3 is, okay, hold on. I don't want anybody to tell you anything until I get through this. My number 3 is Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen, first of her name, the unburnt Queen of the Andals and the First Men, Khaleesi, the Great Grass Sea, Breaker of Chains, and the Mother of Dragons.
Okay, cool. I was making sure you got them all.
Got them all.
It's important.
That's why I was like, don't say anything until I get through it. I just want to get through it. Daenerys Targaryen has been my favorite character on Game of Thrones since I started watching the show.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
And she will remain that
Gabby.
way.
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Don't tell me how to live my
You're
life.
gonna look at me. But
You're wrong.
have a hard time accepting this based on the criteria of this podcast, which is that it's based on how they were in the past year.
Here's the thing.
And
so
this season took Dany and we're like, you know what?
Yeet.
Where she belongs, the trash can. Like, I don't. So I get it. But ooh.
Here's the thing. So my top 3 is basically just a goodbye tour. So so Daenerys Targaryen is like, she's been my favorite character, and even in this season, despite my feelings about the writing, which I thought could have been better, she's still my favorite.
To say the least.
I wrote an entire post about her before that final episode aired, because there are so many things I'm thankful for about that character. I love that Daenerys is incredibly complex and layered. She is a character who goes from weak to powerful. She is compassionate but ruthless. She's allowed to be vulnerable. Like I said when we were talking about Yennefer, I said I love unapologetically ambitious women. Daenerys is unapologetically ambitious, and I love that about her. She constantly fails, but she always gets back up again, and she desires power, but she also desires family and belonging. Once again, like Yennefer as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I am completely disappointed with the way that the writing went for the final season, but I could have gotten behind that storyline had we had more time with it.
I think I would have gone.
I feel like I could have believed it if we had built
that's what
to
it was.
more.
Yeah. I think all she needed was like a couple. They could have done it with like a couple of paranoid scenes with people that are closest to her.
But I needed a couple more seasons.
I needed a paranoid scene with what's her name?
I needed more than 2 episodes of you
Natalie
trying to make her evil.
Emanuel.
It's not just paranoia, though. I think you
Character
also
and-
needed more
No,
of her
her
actually
behavior needed
caring
to-
about her lineage, which she never really...
She was always challenging her lineage.
She never really cared about it, and I think that's part of the reason that if she'd cared more, this would have worked.
And it also would have worked more if we had actually seen a shift in her behavior. Because
That's what
suddenly
I'm saying.
she's...
Paranoid scenes with
Well,
like
no,
Grey
no,
Worm,
but I don't
think,
just mean
and,
paranoia.
what's her name?
I don't mean paranoia. I mean like the way she treats people.
Oh, that's true.
Like she suddenly is just like committing genocide
And that's the
against
thing
an
is that
entire city,
one of the
which
things
she's
that's
never
cool
been
about her is
Yeah.
that she always had some sort of moral code.
Yes, which got thrown out the window for the last 3 episodes of Game
Yes.
of Thrones.
well, I don't
Yes.
know. Just remember when she was crucifying people? Like,
Yeah.
Right, but
because-
who was she crucifying?
That's
the
true.
slavers
Fine, fair.
because they're trash.
Yes.
And it's like...
And that's the thing. They tried to turn everything that she had done for a good reason on its head and make that seem like, well,
That's
yeah,
the thing
she's
is
always
like
been evil.
Tyrion has that line like everywhere she goes, evil men die, and we cheer her for it. Like, yeah, they're evil and they need to die. Like, that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, I don't like violence and I don't like killing people, but there are certain people who it's like it would probably be better if you weren't in the world. And those are the people she goes after.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
the people
For
that are
the
killed.
most part.
So when she's killing a bunch of innocent people at the end of a season, I'm like, for what? You've never killed. She's always said, I don't kill innocent people.
Yeah.
And so it was like if the seasons had given us more time to like see her suddenly no longer care about
Or
the
like
innocence in
see
the way
her
of her power,
unraveling.
then it would have been fine.
Or
That's
you
why
know
I'm like,
who did that well? Actually, no, never mind. I won't tell you who did that well.
That's why I'm like I could have gotten behind it. But Daenerys Targaryen, because she is such like because I have always loved her so much as a character over the past like 10 years. That's why I'm like she's on my list because it's not just it's not just this season. It's literally the culmination of this character as a person and what they've done in my life
I got you.
and how excited I was to see her on screen because Emilia Clarke killed this
oh,
season.
she did.
But yeah, she's always been my favorite character on Game of Thrones. I spent 8 seasons rooting for Daenerys Targaryen, and I was still rooting for her on that dragon. So like I know choices were made. At that point, I was just like, well, screw this show. I'm on her team because at this point, just burn everything down. Like
I mean,
No.
that's what they did.
stop the show, burn it down. We're
I mean,
done.
that's what they did.
We're done.
The nice thing is it was over and
And
like,
it
it
was
was
done.
over.
But yeah, Daenerys Targaryen has always been a character that I've respected because of who she is until we get to the last season. But I love her and she's great and I'm gonna miss her so much. So goodbye, Daenerys Stormborn. It's been fun. Number 2, Dallas.
Number 2 is Rayla from The Dragon Prince,
Alrighty.
played by Paula Burrows. Okay,
Fellow
Rayla.
humans?
Talk to him, fellow humans.
Fellow humans,
human fellas. Rayla is one of the best characters I've seen in a very long time. She is like the rest of the Dragon Prince characters. She's hilarious. Every time she pretends to be a human, it's the best thing ever. Because she just goes from Scottish sounding elf to bad American accent.
Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc.
She's the most competent warrior, at least of the main group.
Yeah.
Like, she is completely badass, and her whole story starts because she won't kill a defenseless human.
Yeah.
Even though they're at war with humans, because to their knowledge, the humans killed the dragon and destroyed his baby.
Yeah.
Which is, pretty messed up.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we gotta catch some bodies. She's like, all right, bet, let's do it.
Cut
And
some
then
bodies.
She gets in the situation. It's like, I can't just kill this guy for no reason. Yeah, it's just a show full of people who are too decent to be in the world that they're in.
But also, like, I like Rayla in particular because Ezrin and Callum kind of have legacies to uphold, and she doesn't, and she still chooses to be good. Like, she does, like, everything that happens to her is, like, she is choosing to be this type of person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like with Ezrin and Callum, a lot of what they do is, I have to live up to a certain expectation, and she doesn't. And she still chooses to be good, and it's great.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely see that with Callum a lot of, I need to live up to this.
Yes.
I feel like Ezrin is just
Well, Ezrin, for the most,
purest form.
he also
of being.
doesn't know for a while
Yeah,
what he has to do.
but it's just he naturally chooses to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Rayla is, we find out more about her in season 3 and like
Yeah.
just what she was risking by deciding not to kill that guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God, it
That's
hits that
also
so much
like a
harder.
terrifying
Right.
episode.
Oh my God.
Hate that.
But yeah, she's the best part of one of the best shows to me. So it's like, yeah, she has to be this high up on the list.
Yeah.
You know this about me, Colin. I love the Scottish accent.
Oh.
Just
Like just in
Yes.
general, or
Yes.
like this character.
especially in fiction. Like Merida from Brave. I'll be shooting for my own hand.
And
Which
now I
is
really
the
want you
tamest
to.
I've ever said that.
Okay,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I want you to learn how to do a proper Scottish accent now, and just take you to Scotland
No,
and scare some
absolutely.
Scots.
I do not want you to learn.
They'd be like, why does he
Scottish
sound like
accent, 'cause, like that'll make it less fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Honestly, I could have made a top 10 with just Dragon Prince characters.
Mm.
I feel like we should.
Yeah,
you and
almost
I
did.
just should because we absolutely
Yeah.
could.
We definitely could. And if I do that, when I do that, Rayla will be at the top of the list.
Aw,
All right,
She's
I respect
amazing.
cute.
Colin, who's your number 2?
that. My number 2 is not from the Dragon Prince, so you know.
Change your pace.
You had what,
Surprise.
3 in a row?
I did. Yes, I did.
Lord. Show's great though. So my number 2 is Chip from Looking for Alaska, also known as the Colonel.
Oh, you watched that show?
I did, and it was
Hey.
a lot.
That show's out.
I don't know
Hulu.
that I will
It's
ever watch
been
it
out.
again, even though
Oh
I
my
want to.
God.
It came out months ago,
Wait,
and I watched it, and I liked it a lot.
Did it reach the end with Alaska?
It is a miniseries, so yes, it covers the entire thing. Yeah, the last episode, I was watching it and I had to stop for a bit and get up and walk around and then come back to it because it's a lot. But ooh, man, the show is really, I like it a lot, more than I expected to. And Chip is he's a lot of that because he's basically the glue that holds all the characters together, and he's also just really a different perspective because the main character, he is a John Green character to a T, and that is good, but it's also, no one talks like this. Why are you doing this?
I feel like he did as a child.
Why are you
but-
obsessed with famous last words of people? Why does everything you say have to sound profound? You need to calm down. And I like that you've got him and you've got Alaska, who's just fuck everything.
I wanted to play Alaska when I read that book.
I
It's
think you would be good at that, yeah. But Chip is nice because he's not that. He's just kind of trying to live his best life and be at boarding school and be kind of the king of his boarding school. And he has a tradition where at every, I don't know if it's every sports game, I think it's every sports game, he tries to get himself kicked out by just heckling the other team. And there's a montage in one of the episodes of him doing that 5 times in a row.
Ugh.
And it's
Also,
great.
apparently the prank that they pull is actually something that John Green did.
Yeah, he's talked about that, and it's I like him so much, and he also he kind of stands in stark contrast to a lot of the people around him because he is black and because he's poor, and the show does touch on that somewhat, not so much on his being black, but a lot on his being poor and how different that is from the weekday warriors and the people with money, and also ooh. The last 2 episodes of that show, he gets to do some acting. There's just he has a breakdown in I think the 7th episode or the last one. He's talking to a priest, and it's just oh, I need to. This is I want to watch that show again, but I want to watch the first 6 episodes and then not watch the last 2 because it's it hits hard.
Yeah, I almost couldn't finish that book.
I get that. I had trouble finishing that show because it's a lot. But Chip is great. He's the best part of that show. And man, I'm really I'm really, really glad I watched it, even if I never watch it again. Who is good?
Gabby.
Okay. My number 2 is Fleabag from Fleabag, played by
Is
Phoebe
that her
Waller-Bridge.
name?
That's her
That's
name
her
on the
name,
show.
Her actual name?
That's not her real name. Nobody knows her real name. That's the
What?
character's name.
Doesn't she have family?
Nobody calls her by her name.
What?
They just the dad's name is Dad. Her sister's, she calls her sister by her name, so her sister actually has a name. I can't remember the name right now, but her name is Fleabag.
Yeah, so I just realized you said Fleabag, and I thought of Dollface.
Yeah.
So I thought you were talking about the cat.
Is that the cat's name in Dollface?
No, I don't think the cat has a name because it's
No,
a
there's-
cat. But you
there's
said
no-
Fleabag, and I was like,
That
There's-
sounds
Is
like a
that the
cat's
cat's
name.
name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get
No.
what
no, you're talking about a different show.
Fleabag from
Got
Fleabag.
it. Different
Yeah.
show.
First of all, this character it's an unreliable narrator, which I love because she gets you on her side with how funny and how honest she is. And then you find out she wasn't being completely honest with you. She was keeping stuff from you, and you were like, ooh, this, all of a sudden you're really interesting. Even more interesting. And also she's just hilarious. And then you kind of feel for her because the show starts off much like a comedy, and it ends up definitely a drama. The last couple episodes of the first season and the last couple episodes of the second season, you're just oh, am I going to cry? Oh yeah, I'm going to cry. It's really good. Hot Priest, obviously, for season 2. And then just Phoebe Waller-Bridge is hilarious and a delight and really, really talented. Not only did she come up with this show, but she did rewrites for the James Bond movie that's coming out. She created Killing Eve, and she wrote the first couple of episodes, and she was the showrunner for season 1. And she wrote, like, I think most, if not all, of Fleabag season 2. So she's hilarious and talented, and I worship the ground on which she walks.
Continuing my goodbye tour. Number 2 is Natasha Romanoff.
Oh,
Interesting. I
rest in
wasn't sure
kind
she
of
would be
peace because
too
she's
well.
coming back this year.
Natasha Romanoff has been my favorite MCU character since she appeared in Iron Man 2. I've always enjoyed having her on screen, even if her characterization is always depending on her servicing the men around her.
Just the way you said that.
But like up until like her final scene in Endgame, and even kind of in that final scene, like this is probably my favorite characterization of Natasha, along with like the first Avengers and Winter Soldier. I felt like this was like the best depiction of who Natasha is in the comic books. I just really love a Natasha who is allowed to be herself.
Or like be in pain.
Yeah,
and doesn't
even if
have
that
to be
means
stoic.
that she can be like openly in pain, or a character like she gets to make these. She always has really great one-liners. Oh my gosh, but like, yeah, getting to sit around the Avengers headquarters and like sit in. She can't sit properly. That's just Natasha's character. She just does not sit upright, and it's great. Yeah, just her getting to be who she is in that movie. I think Natasha has kind of like the quintessential redemption story, even though we never get to see her actually do the evil that she's done in her life.
I want to see that.
But
so
she
bad.
treats... The thing about redemption arcs for me is if you're going to do a redemption arc, it's not like you do one thing and then you're redeemed. Like, no, your redemption needs to be a process. It needs to be like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, when Faith Lehane goes through her redemption arc, she treats it as if it's an alcohol addiction. Like as if she's in recovery. Like, no, you don't get to just do one good thing and okay, I'm good now. No, it's a constant daily struggle every day of you saying, I'm going to make the right decision. And I feel like that's what Natasha has always been. I've always been fascinated by like her story and her personality. Like she's an enigma because obviously spy, but like she's also very caring and she's highly intelligent as seen in The Winter Soldier. She's a great strategist and she's a great leader that's something she doesn't get to do a lot until we get to Endgame, which I love. I love that she got to be the leader of the Avengers. And I was like, you're so good at this. Like she could have been the next Nick Fury in this series if they had continued through with that. And that would have been brilliant.
That would have been better.
It would have been so great. She's really loyal. I feel like she is the most dedicated Avenger to their friendship as a group than anybody else in that group.
But I think it's because that's all she has, right?
Exactly. It makes me sad because somebody was like, Natasha in Civil War is just like, hey, it doesn't matter how we stay together as long as we stay together. And then the next gif was her by herself in the rain from the Endgame trailer.
Aww.
And I was just like, wow, you guys are trash. Like the guys are trash. Fuck you guys, man. But she's always looking out for everyone's interests before she looks out for her own.
Yeah.
She's constantly striving to be a better person, like I said before. And she's always been a rock for the Avengers to lean on, even when they're constantly judging her about whether or not they can trust her, which sucks, guys. Stop it. It's rude. She's changed. Let her be.
She's a woman. I'm just kidding.
It's because she's a spy. Let her be a changed person. And in almost every film that she's in, she's instrumental to the success of the heroes.
Yeah.
Or she's like making the big drastic change to the MCU universe as a whole.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. So in my opinion, she is the best Avenger and she is the longest, and also this is just factual, she's the longest lasting member of the Avengers because she never gave up on the mission. There is a 5-year gap, and who's still an Avenger at the end of that 5-year gap? Natasha Romanoff. Who's been an Avenger since day one? Natasha Romanoff. And it's in my headcanon that Nick Fury probably recruited her to be an Avenger before he recruited anybody else, which is why she knew all the details about the Avengers, which is why she was sent to go do a check on Tony Stark to see if he should be on the team. Natasha Romanoff, everybody. The best Avenger. I don't care what you say. She's the best Avenger, and I'm so excited that she's finally getting a movie. But yeah, she's my second favorite character of the year because as much as it pains me what they did with her, I'm always excited to see her on screen, and I still smile whenever I watch Endgame. However, I'm not watching it anymore. So I've seen it 3 times in theaters. I don't need to do it again.
That's 9 hours.
Oh, that's 9 hours and 6 minutes.
6 minutes, yes.
9 hours
I
and
was
6
thinking
minutes.
about watching it tonight because I only saw it twice. So
I saw it 3 times in theaters. I don't have to do it again.
knows?
Number 1, guys.
Woo! We made it, you guys.
one.
Dallas,
With
what's your
like
number
20
1?
minutes to spare.
My number 1, yeah, it's pretty easy to see. It's Simba, obviously.
Simba.
Yay!
Yes, because it's freaking Simba. It's the same thing as the Lion King. It's, yeah,
But now
They
it's
took-
Donald Glover playing Simba.
Exactly. You took my favorite character, and now it's Donald Glover. To be honest, I don't think I need to say anything else. Donald Glover's playing Simba. Of course, it's number one. Moving on, Colin, what's your number one?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Y'all grew up with Simba. You guys know what the deal is.
To me. Look at me.
Okay.
Okay,
Look at me.
Colin.
We're doing
Colin,
this.
We're doing this?
You. This is me.
Okay.
We're doing this.
We're doing this. What are we doing?
Okay.
Who are we doing?
So mine. Yo, I wish. My number one.
Amos.
Yes. Oh my God.
From The Expanse?
Amos from The Expanse. I love him so much. He's like.
He's wonderful.
He's one, but it's like I haven't like been this interested in a character this much in a very long time. From the beginning too, because the first season of The Expanse, he's not really a character. He's like
He is very. I do.
he's very much he does whatever someone else tells him to do.
I respect, but here's the thing. I respect that his loyalty from season 1 has continued throughout these seasons.
Well, see, it hasn't, and that's what I like.
Well,
that's
but-
why, because we
yeah.
were having a conversation
but
where
he's still a loyal. When he's loyal
Oh.
to you, he is loyal.
Well, yes and no, but that's just it, because that's why I like season 3, because season 3 for him is a lot of this person who I trusted implicitly, I don't know that I can trust anymore. She's gone. I have to start thinking for myself.
Yes, that's true.
And that's a lot of what season 3 is him trying to learn how to think for himself and making choices that he wants to make.
You tell the truth. But
Yeah.
season 4, we were talking about season 4.
Yeah. Oh boy, season 4 was just a lot.
Listen, he got aggressive.
Well, yes, but he's always been aggressive, and that's
Hey,
fine.
Colin.
Yeah.
Him going crazy with the blood in his mouth.
Ooh.
Ooh, that made me feel some kind of way.
So
That
many
scene was
feelings.
not long enough for me.
Oh, I told you there were text messages. There are several
yeah,
text
I
messages.
just like. I don't know that I would actually want to know him because he's really volatile and you can't trust him to be calm about things. But I also respect someone who acts first and thinks later because he gets stuff done.
That's true.
Stuff that needs to get done. Like you, other person, you don't have the moral or mental fortitude to kill this guy. You're not that guy. I'm that guy. So I'm going to
He
kill
knows
this
who
dude
he is
because
and
he
he's
needs
about
to
to do
die.
it.
Yeah, like he's the comparison I want to make is like he's a bull and the universe is a china shop. Like he's going to wreck everything,
I'm gonna wreck it. Sorry.
but it's because that's kind of what needs to get done. Like,
yeah, that scene with the homegirl who was just like, "You won't kill me." I was like, I don't know what you were thinking, but
it
you
also
aren't
works
that
because
important.
like they match him up with like Holden, and Holden is very much your typical protagonist where he has moral limits and there are things he will not do, and it's like this person, I'm not going to kill them because that's not who I am. There's a scene at the end of the 4th season where I'm like, no, just kill that dude. You need to kill him, and he doesn't, and it's like, that's fine. And then Amos beats that guy's ass later, and it's like, yes, exactly, this is what I wanted. You need someone to balance out the moral character who says, you know what, I don't really have that. This needs to happen. I'm going to make it happen.
I don't have that boundary or that limitation, so you know what? Let's do it.
Amos is who you want in your corner when shit goes sideways.
And that's why he is always the guy who is in their corner when everything
Right.
goes sideways.
And that's why, like, this season was so good because he also had...
I feel like he had more to do this season.
He did, but also there's an episode or two where he can't do anything, where he's basically powerless. And that
Yeah.
was great. It sucked. I didn't like watching it, but it's like... To take a character who's all about, I have to do things, and make him not able to do things because he's dependent on somebody else is great. And like, he's just...
Yeah, he was all about that flamethrower
Yeah.
while blind.
Right, like that's not a good idea, but it was the only thing he could do.
Yeah.
He had to do something, and it was the only measure of control that he had, so this is what he's going to do. And like the actor like went to therapy for that and like to talk about it and like try to figure out how that would affect the character and like how he would react to that, and like that's some dedication and I respect it.
I love a good dedicated actor.
Yeah. Also just he's too hot. I can't deal with it. It's upsetting.
Don't worry, Colin. I got you for the funeral.
No, it's just
I'm playing
like-
that video at the funeral. I got you.
Jesus, it's just every time he's on screen, I'm just like, oh my God, I just want, never mind, I'm not going to say that, but like, oh.
And this is what I mean by Colin's thirst was almost as much as Gabby's whenever I was getting
Oh yeah,
those tweets.
I definitely got
messages.
vulgar when I was texting to me because I could. Not going
true.
to say that on mic because
He can trust me.
you know, yeah. But I just, I love that show already. I love everyone on that show, but
Amos.
Amos is just kind of a cut above, and I really need to read the novella that's all about his backstory
Oh,
because I don't know why I haven't read that yet because I really should, but
it's a new year. You can take the time.
I definitely can, and I should. But anyway, that's enough out of me.
Gabby, number 1.
My number 1 is Molly Patel, played by Mindy Kaling in Late Night. Because the character
I had no
related
idea
to
where your list was going to go, so
super
I could never have guessed.
My yeah, it's
See,
really random.
This is why I like having Gabby, because Gabby watches a bunch of stuff that we do not. I don't know what Gabby's wheelhouse is,
different.
and that's what's so cool.
It's just a bunch of stuff.
But that's
if
cool.
If it's good, I usually like it regardless of the
So Mindy
genre.
Kaling's character?
Yes, Mindy Kaling's character, only because it was me. It was me. If I
Oh my
ever
gosh,
got
she saw herself on screen, guys.
Yeah, it was like, first of all, brown girl. Second of all, she used to work at a chemical plant. And I
Oh my
work at a
gosh.
steam plant. Or like, yeah.
It was her.
Yeah, and then she ends up, and this is the part that's not me, but like it's relatable to my life a little bit. So she ends up working on a late night show.
Well, you work on a podcast, so
No. But like, let me get to it. She works on a late night show where she's the only woman on staff. I'm one of the only women at my plant.
fair.
With a bunch of like older, jaded dudes, or like people that have like family and connections where they work, and so they either A, didn't have to work very hard to get where they are, or B, had to work extremely hard. And like one of the characters that she shares like an office with has never decorated his office because he's just waiting to be fired, and he's been on the show for more than 20 years.
That's so sad.
And yeah, no. And then like there's a part where like she's really honest with her boss about the problems with the show. But first of all, she's new, and second of all, she didn't bring anything in
To the table.
So she's like, critique. And they're like, how do we fix this? And she's like, I don't know. You told me to critique the show. So I critiqued the show. And they're like, no, you can't just show up here and tell us that our show sucks.
You got to construct.
And not bring in. But like, I mean, all the points she made were fair
True,
points.
but you got to construct.
But you have to, exactly. And so like, also it was like about her learning the culture in the show, but also changing the culture a little bit to A, modernize the show, and B, make the show much more about its female
audience.
No, it's female lead,
Oh.
because Emma Thompson is like
She's the talk show host.
She's the talk show host. She's the only woman in network television that has this position, so she can make a bunch of women jokes that the men can't do, but she's not doing it because she wants to be more like the men, but it's stagnated her show for like 15 years. So like Mindy was like the breath of fresh air that needed to come in. I like it because I related super hard. I was like, this is what I would be like if I was there. Like, I would be under my desk crying because people were mean to me. Like, I would have gone into the bathroom and cried, or like gone in the bathroom and tried to give myself a pet talk. And like, I would have probably shown up just like she did and given a bunch of said, oh, this is what's negative about the show, without bringing anything constructive, because I wouldn't have understood the culture there. So it was just like super relatable. And I like I saw myself a lot in that character. So she was kind of my favorite of the year because she's so different. And then they tried to interject some romance, but what I like about it is while there was some romance in this movie, it wasn't the center point. The center point was much more about Mindy Kaling's relationship with Emma Thompson's character.
Yay.
Which I really liked.
Women friendships.
Yeah, I really appreciated it. And I like that by the end of the show, like when there's a point where like she's going to other places to work and people are acknowledging that she's talented and offering her like jobs on the spot, which I also appreciated. I was like, yeah, female comic writers. And then the way that she got her job was like through a wild loophole that I'm like, oh, I would exploit that loophole too.
Good Lord.
Which is great. She like entered like an essay contest, and the prize of the essay contest was that she could have a sit down meeting with any upper management. And so her chemical plant is also owned by the people that owned the network that Emma Thompson's character worked for. So she chose to meet with Emma Thompson's character. And it was great. I was like, wow, that's how you do it. So that's who my number 1 character of the year was.
Cool. Final number 1 of the podcast. Finally, a happy ending. My number 1 is Yelena Yardine, a.k.a. Dutch from Killjoys, portrayed by Hannah John Common.
Are we surprised? We're not surprised.
Hey, you guys didn't know where this was going.
I was like, where's Hannah John Common?
I was because I thought you were going to say Princess Leia.
Oh.
No, not enough of her in that movie.
Now I'm sad.
So I've been watching Killjoy since it basically started. And when I first started the show, whenever I would recommend it to people, I used to describe, because Dutch was my favorite character and is usually everybody's favorite character, whoever's watched this last show. But I used to describe her as a black Natasha Romanoff in space in the future because of her history as a child spy, and also of her having like this abusive relationship with her father/mentor.
Okay.
So what I loved about Yelena this season, about Dutch, I'm going to call her Dutch because everybody calls her Dutch. What I loved about Dutch this season is before season 5 started, we had spent 4 seasons with this character and watching her grow as a person and learn about who she is. And it felt like the final season was like, okay, she did all the growing she needs to do. Now she's going to take everything that she's learned these past 4 seasons and use it to finish the fight. And I was like, cool, that's a proper way to do it. I don't need her to learn anything else now.
Yeah.
She's already done her character work. She's already done her growth. Now she just needs to finish the battle because we're in the middle of a war at this point.
Okay.
The character is, oh my gosh, I love her so much. She's so strong and she's a badass and she's so capable and she's witty most of the time. I love the fact that sometimes she'll throw out like a comeback or like some sort of witty comment, but it just doesn't work. And it's fantastic because I'm like, yeah, that happens sometimes. Sometimes people try to throw out a witty comment and it just does not land.
All the time.
She's a little socially inept because she grew up as a child spy. She's not the smartest person around, but she surrounds herself with the best people. And she's loved by just about everyone she comes across, even though she never understands why, because she's always thought that she's an awful person. I mean, she grew up killing people for no reason, except that, you know, she was told that she had to kill people. So she thinks that she's awful. She's like, I'm an awful human being. Like, I have to redeem myself as a person. So she thinks she's horrible, but other people are like, you're amazing. Like, you're a great person. She is awful with children, which is great. And she's been awful with children throughout the series, which is perfect for when one of the characters has a kid. She's horrible with her emotions, but she is somehow still pretty emotionally intelligent. Like, she's horrible at dealing with them, but she knows that they're there. Like in first season, one of the characters was kind of brainwashed, and after sleeping with him, he beat the shit out of her. And then nearly killed his brother, who's her best friend. Afterwards, she had a problem trusting him, and she was like, here's the thing. I don't trust you anymore, and I'm angry at you. But I know that I have no right to be angry at you because it's not your fault. That's not your problem. Like, you were brainwashed. That's not something that you did on purpose. So now I have to figure it out.
Oof.
She is stubborn to death, and she loves her friends with just about everything she has. She had a line in season 5 where she describes herself, and she says, I'm 87% guns, violence, and destruction, and I still have friends. I was like, that's the perfect description of her. I love her dynamic with just about everybody on the show, but I think her best dynamics are with her platonic soulmate, Johnny. Because like there's always a moment and a chance that they could have gone romantic. In fact, at the beginning of season 5, neither of them remembers who they are, and they believe that they are in a romantic relationship where they are married and have a son. And when they come out of that and realize who they actually are, he struggles with it really hard because
that makes sense.
she's in love with his brother. And he struggles really hard with it because he's like, I know that I don't want that with you.
Man, I know this is a sci-fi show, but it sounds like a telenovela.
Yep.
He's like, I know that I don't want this type of relationship with you, but I know that I want that life for me with somebody. And it's great. Her relationship with her father figure, Klein, because it's an abusive relationship. And so she still loves him, obviously, because he raised her. That's her father. But he raised her horribly. And one of the greatest messages that the show has to offer is that there's a scene in season 4 where Davin basically calls her out and is like, no, you were abused. And she looks at him with the most offended look on her face because she can't bear the idea to accept the fact that she was abused as a child.
Ooh, that was me for
And
a long
so
time.
So because basically what happens is she's trying to train his son the same way that she was trained as a kid.
Ooh,
And he goes, no, you can't treat my son like that. You were abused. And she was like, how dare you say that to me? Like, my father did what he had to do. And he goes, no, you were abused and that's messed up, but you're not going to treat my kid like that. I'm not going to let you repeat that cycle. And so there's a lot of her having to come to the conclusion that, yes, she loves her father, but that doesn't mean that she has to forgive him. And then also her relationship with Anila, who's her Chiral.
Her what, mate?
No.
Her Chiral.
Her what, mate?
Her Chiral. So
you can't
she's
just say fantasy terms and expect us all to go,
a
oh,
Chiral
right,
is a scientific term.
You're a scientific term.
So Anila is
How do
her
you spell that?
Chiral. Anila is identically genetic to her, except for their DNA is like switched or something like that. It's like
It's a
flipped.
mirror image.
Yeah,
it's
they're
not
mirror images of
superimposable.
each
It's
other.
like hands. Hands are
There's a
mirror
weird
images.
sci-fi thing
They're
on
not
this show that I'm
superimposable.
not going to spend too much time explaining. But basically, Anila pulled Dutch out of her memories. So Dutch is technically her as a child. And she gave Dutch to her father so that her father could have a chance to raise a good child.
And then he abused her over
Yes.
again.
Because he wanted to train Dutch to be able to kill Anila. and that's a whole thing for a while.
Oof.
But yeah, Anila's like insane, but I love their relationship because Anila starts out evil, and by the time we get to season 5, they're like calling each other sister, and it's fantastic. I love it. So yeah, Yelena Yardine Dutch, one of my favorite characters of all time, and I'm so happy that she got to have a happy ending, unlike some other characters that I love. But
or like unlike all the other characters that you love.
Yeah, but you know, it's been 5 seasons and it ended on a happy note. And I'm really happy about that because when you've watched a character just live a tragic life, you don't want to see it end in death. Like, you want to see them end in a happy place. There's nothing bold about killing off a character that's already lived a tragedy.
Yeah, it's just depressing.
Natasha and Daenerys. So that's it, guys. That's our top 10 favorite characters of the year. Tell us some of your favorite characters of 2019, and we'll see you guys tomorrow when we do our favorite actors of 2019.
Yes, thank you for sticking with us. Or fast forwarding
too
to the
much.
end if you did that. I don't know.
Yep.
Whatever you did. Thanks for doing it.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Gabby. Like, share, subscribe, rate, 5-star, 4-star, share.
Nothing lower than that.
Nothing lower than 4 stars. Thank you to Brandon and Io from Crown Digital for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Demi for putting us on YouTube. Go find us on social media. We're at Twitter, y'all_different. We're on Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, if people are still using Tumblr out there. We're on Facebook, search for Creative Differences. And those are the medias for us. Find me at A King Named Simba. Get it? Because that's my favorite character. On Twitter and Instagram.
Find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
You can find me, Gabby, on Instagram at Stegosoria.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Film, spelled DREEMI. Once again, thanks again for listening, guys.
Yes, it's been long and it's been different.
Join us tomorrow.